Welcome to a reaction stream for Game Week 4. Obviously, we're reacting to Game Week 3, but we're looking ahead to Game Week 4 already, and a lot of people are already talking about playing the wildcard. I'll be showing you kind of a wildcard I've come up with, but it's not perfect. It wouldn't be exactly what I'd go for. And within the next week or so, with a bit more time to reflect upon this week, as well as the first two game weeks, I'm going to be talking about an updated wildcard team. So I'll be making a video dedicated to that. It was already kind of requested from game weeks 2 or 3, so thank you to everyone who did that. I'll be going for everything in the live chat. The actual score you see on the left hand side is updated according to livefpl.net. If you want your live rank before obviously the bonus points kick in and all of that, then go to livefpl.net. I'm not sponsored by them, by the way. It's just a very good free to use website. I've got 68 points this week, 246 overall, so Greenwood scoring at the end helped massively. I'm around 153k, and yeah, pretty good start. I have to say, Greenwood has to be probably one of the best things I've done this year. Obviously, a lot of people were not really too sure about him, a rotation risk, and now with Ronaldo coming into the mix as well, United are going to have so many attacking options, but with Greenwood, I think just starting the season with all the injuries United have, and then, you know, Martial coming back into the mix but not quite being there yet. That's why I ended up going for him, and it has paid off. But then other decisions haven't, such as getting Benrahma in this week. Didn't pay off, unfortunately. Barnes from game week 1, he blanked yet again against Norwich, so it's very weird. You know, you can't get everything right, unfortunately, but this is how my team is looking like, by the way, for Game Week 4. I'll be showing you how it's looking like for Game Week 3 and the points I've accumulated. But everyone, thank you everyone who is here. I'll go through all your questions. So Patrick says, looking forward to this one. Really appreciate it, mate. Singh says, Greenwood and Son hurting my rank big time. Yeah, I mean, this is the thing, though. You can't have everyone. It's just literally impossible. But yeah, Greenwood and Son have been very, very good. The thing with Spurs, though, they just haven't been free-flowing and they haven't been scoring too many goals. But defensively, they're solid. Son and Kane can get the goals. Of course, this time it was Son again. And yeah, he's just doing really well. Took a massive gamble, didn't pay off, says Liphook. I'm guessing you Captain Trent, I think that was. You know, these things can happen. Still, he got 2 bonus points. You know, the best case scenario from a blank. So, you know, it could be worse. And either way, you know, Bruno Fernandes, for example, someone I seriously consider for the captaincy this week. Another blank, unless something happened in the last minute or so, by the way, of the United game, and I didn't see. But yeah, let's actually check now. So apologies for this, but let's go to game week 3. So something might have happened. We'll wait and see. But yeah, let's go into the points and let's see. So yeah, 68 points. Oh wow, yeah, because Greenwood's not getting any bonus points anyway, so yeah, doesn't make a difference. Looks like United did win the game 1-0. Of course, you can correct me in the live chat. I've been preparing this stream, so this is how my team looked like for game week 3. And not very impressive. Ayling, you know, actually was a bit more optimistic of a clean sheet with the news that Llorente's back into the lineup. It just didn't come to pass, really. Sanchez, obviously, no clean sheet, lost 2-0 to Everton. Trent Alexander-Arnold, 2 bonus points, happy with that. Luke Shaw, clean sheet. This was the kind of game week I was talking about where, despite how decent Wolves have been and how much they've underperformed, I still expected this to be the game that United kept a clean sheet in finally, until maybe the tougher games around game week 7. Shaw got the clean sheet. Salah, 10 points, you know, penalty and bonus points. That's Salah for you. He can always get a haul against anyone. I remember City last year where, you know, City were on another level to Liverpool and Salah still got the points. Benrahma blank, but of course it's going to be impossible for him to sustain double digits every single week. Bruno yet another blank, but I'd still expect a few hauls here and there, even with Ronaldo coming into the side. Greenwood once again producing. I have to say, this guy's been probably the star player in my team, FPL wise. He's been really good. Tony finally scored, and he's someone that obviously it was very tempting for me to get rid of, but just the way I saw it, I thought he still had good fixtures until game week 5 or 6. It could still, you know, he could turn out to keep blanking, so obviously there's a bit of luck that comes into the mix, but very happy with Tony there getting the goal. We got a yellow card, otherwise maybe more bonus points as well. Antonio captain, very happy with that, of course. In the end, big difference between him and Bruno, so very happy that I went with Antonio, and that's 3 double-digit returns in a row for him. The highest scoring FPL player. West Ham are second in the league. Fantastic stuff from him. And Danny Ings got an assist and a yellow card, so once again, you know, him, Bruno and Tony all getting yellow cards, but at the end of the day, you know, still a good score, good rank, and can't really complain too much. Tsimikas actually came on towards the end of the game against Chelsea, and that could be a sign of things to come. It could be occasional rotation there where Robertson might be saved for the kind of bigger games in Champions League or other cup competitions if Klopp decides to take them seriously, but you'd mainly be looking at Champions League, and Tsimikas will occasionally come in for 1 point, and you never know, he could do something during that time. So To be fair, I'm not really too bothered about having Tsimikas. He could just be my second or third sub most weeks, so happy with him. Ben White should be coming back in game week 4. Arsenal are just absolutely terrible, by the way. They can only get better from here, really. And yeah, Brownhill, not really much to comment on. Foster's injured, of course. But yeah, it is what it is. Thank you, the 30 people who are here. Really appreciate it. Let me load up the chat now. It wasn't loading. Here we go. So, had Greenwood and Son not going for Fernandes turn out to be a good decision, said Marcis. Yeah, I mean, this is the thing. You don't have to go for Bruno. And even though in Game Week 1 he might have punished your rank, in Game Weeks 2 and 3, going without him, going for other players like Son and Greenwood is the way forward. So yeah, no player is absolutely essential. I got 72 points. Is it good for this game week? Definitely, Avish. It's a very good score. And definitely, I'd rather have that, obviously, than my one. But yeah, 72 points is a very good score. Welcome, Elliot. Thank you for joining in. Evening all says FPL Rubber Ducky. What a name. Evening to you as well. 54 points. Captain Trent knowingly didn't go for Greenwood and Benrahma. Yeah, well, this is the thing, though. You can't have everyone. I have to keep on saying it. And I'm going to have a week like you did, even worse, maybe, the 50s, maybe 40s. There's going to be some low-scoring weeks to come, so I'm just happy that so far things have been going well. But 54 points is still not too bad. I was literally on 54 points before this game, where Luke Shaw got the clean sheet, Greenwood got the goal, and Bruno got his 2 points. So there's not really too much difference. And before this United game, I was around 250k in the world. How many bonus points did Greenwood get? I think he got 0. I have to check, actually, in livefpl.net. He might have actually got one towards the end, so that's something I'd have to check. But for the time being, I think he got nothing, but yeah, he might have in the end. Josh says, I feel ill after watching that United game. So annoyed, especially with Greenwood getting the goal for other people's fantasy. Yeah, but this is the thing, Greenwood, Bruno, at this moment in time, for the first 3 game weeks, I think they've been the best assets for United. Obviously, Bruno has been a bit disappointing in the last 2, but yeah, those 2 have just been very, very dangerous. And you're kind of always hiding behind the sofa when watching United, and these things can happen. But yeah, not to worry. There's going to be weeks to come. Greenwood might not even be a starter in game week 4, 5, or 6. It's not really something to worry too much about. Very early days. 63 points for me. Red arrow. Yeah, this is the thing. That's a good score, and yet you can still get red arrows. The kind of template is very strong. People have the template is so strong. Everyone's got a very similar team, and one difference, one player, one captaincy haul, it literally can be the difference. So, not to worry. Did Shaw get any bonus points? I don't think so. Once again, I'd have to double check. Actually, you know what? Let me check now, just so I have the up-to-date information. But when I actually, before coming on air, literally with minutes to go in the United game, pretty much, no bonus points for any of the players I have, including Luke Shaw. So let's see. And Varane got the assist for the Greenwood goal. Wow, that's a bit of a weird one. Let me try. I think I'm going to go to live. There's FPL updates on Twitter. FPL status, that's it. I'm going to see what they have there. And yeah, hopefully we got some clarification here. And bonus points. Let's see. Varane 3, Wan-Bissaka 2, and Maguire 1. So this is something I highlight, actually. And I'm not trying to claim to be a guru or anything, but I think in my deadline stream, Wan-Bissaka, in terms of United defenders, he actually tends to be the one who gets the most bonus points. That's why he had the most points overall last year among United defenders. He rarely gets booked as well, and that kind of helps his case. Also the passes and the tackles. Maguire got one, but of course he's someone who is a bit prone to yellow cards. He's gotten a lot over the last few years, but yeah, look at that. All the defenders for United get them bonus points. None for Greenwood, but then again, he was a bit unlucky to get some against Southampton. Let's see. So a lot of questions, a lot of comments coming in. Keep them coming. Thank you very much. I'm going to be showing you a wildcard team very shortly, of course. Feel free to kind of give constructive criticism and, give your own suggestions. And there are going to be a few things that I would change heading into the video I'm going to make within the next week or so. So no worries there. Let's see. Going to try not to miss any questions. Stan says, going to have to wildcard. Not sure who to bring in, though. I mean, it depends on who you have right now. Obviously, if you've had a very poor start, you're more inclined to play a wildcard. But you know what? I don't think it's that necessary as some people make it out to be. Because even with a -4 hit, you can, for example, get rid of Bruno and then get in a premium striker. And if not, if you have 2 free transfers, maybe you don't need to take a hit. Greenwood and Shaw 0 bonus points. Yeah, exactly. And obviously Bruno definitely nothing with the yellow card and a blank. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Janssen first on the bench with 7 points. Damn, and if you actually look at the kind of like highest scoring FPL defenders, he's right up there. Thinking about a free hit for Game Week 4, says Patrick. A lot of people are. It's going to be a really popular topic. And of course, like I said, in this deadline stream, or should I say this reaction stream, I'm going to be talking about that and also in a future video. 8k overall and 2 free transfers going into the next week. Let's go, says Maverick. That's exceptional. And yeah, good luck, and hopefully you can build on that momentum. That's really impressive. Bruno out for Ronaldo, says Singh. I'll, kind of maintain the same thing I said in my deadline stream. In my opinion, look, Ronaldo could be the main guy in FPL from now on, but we haven't seen him yet at United, and I don't know, it might even take him a few games to get going. I think he'll hit the ground running. Maybe he's not going to hit 40, 50 goals like he does in La Liga, but I'll just kind of advise a bit of caution. There's still other options like Harry Kane, Heung-min Son, Lukaku. Bruno Fernandes is still a very good option. Salah, as he showed yesterday, always can come up with a goal. But yeah, Bruno out for Ronaldo is going to be very popular ahead of Game Week 4, especially when Ronaldo is finally added to FPL, probably at 12.5 or 13 million. Game Week 4 is looking crazy. It is indeed, especially with, I think this could be the game week where the kind of template breaks up a bit and we have a bit of variance and we have a bit more, everyone's a bit more unique, but we'll wait and see, to be honest. Bruno to Ronaldo, easy. It could be easy, yeah, but once again, there are still a lot of other premium options who are looking really good too. Calvert-Lewin a good option considering the toe injury. I think he should be fine over the international break, but of course we're going to have more news over that period, and that's why a lot of people want to be wildcarding now. It's an international break. They have time to kind of see these injuries, how they kind of evolve, and yeah, Dominic Calvert-Lewin I think should be fine, but of course there's still the kind of slightest chance that he does miss out. Very happy with Shaw and Greenwood, but I heard Wolves had a fantastic first half. Are these FPL options considering the kind schedule ahead, says Sharon? Even before this game, where obviously they still lost the first 2 games, I was actually, kind of picking out these defenders like Cody. Like, even if he's just a budget option on your bench, he's going to be rotating from game weeks 4 to 14. Fantastic fixtures. Wolves should get a few clean sheets here and there. So I think, yeah, 1 or 2 Wolves players could be good. Probably I'd say 1. I wouldn't go overboard with them. I'm not too fond on their attacking players. Of course, Jimenez, before his head injury, was fantastic in FPL. Hopefully he can recover that form because he'd be a very serious option. Adama Traore, if he can get his shooting boots on. Trincao, Neto when he comes back from injury. Even maybe Podence. They could all be worth considering. But yeah, right now I'd probably say Cody and maybe another defender. We should be looking at. Talking of Arsenal, my condolences to you, mate. Well, to be honest, I literally didn't even feel anything after every goal. I kind of just expected it. That's the kind of stage most Arsenal fans are at right now. Just resigned. They accept what's happening and they just know that their team's going to lose most weeks. I am 242 overall right now. That's really impressive, Patrick, and obviously legendary DP you have there. Supe says, I'm currently ranked 23k. Fantastic ranks coming in all around in this chat. Fantastic. Very good. No chips as well used, so that's really good. I'm considering free hit next week. Any thoughts? I'd consider it, there's a reason why you're thinking of it, but I wouldn't kind of commit to it. I just kind of wait, see how the next week or so goes on. It's looking like FIFA are actually going to force the Premier League, La Liga and all these different leagues to release these players on international duty to red list countries. So players like Salah, players like Rafinha could actually be a problem going into game weeks 5 and 6, even Benrahma potentially. So that's something to keep an eye on. But yeah, I think a free hit or a wild card, especially the wild card, is going to be very popular this week. I got 53 points. How can I improve? I mean, it's just one game week. You might have done very well in the first 2. I'm not sure because obviously you haven't told me there. But in terms of how to improve, I mean, it ultimately depends on your team, your strategy going forward, your captaincy plans, and also kind of what ideas you have for the chips. But in terms of improving, I'd kind of just... there's a lot of different ways to improve your score and to kind of improve long term. But really, the main thing I'd say to you is to not overreact, whether it's a good week or a bad week. If you have a 100-point week, it doesn't mean your team is completely fine. And if you have a 50-point week, your team can still be well set for the next few. Hi Dylan, hope you're well. Thank you, Nick. Thank you for joining in, mate. I sold Salah and Tony for Benrahma and Kane, costing me -4. Did I do good? Well, obviously this week, no. But long term, it could pay off. And to be honest, look, it's really easy now to say, it didn't pay off or it did pay off. End of the day, you made it for a reason. You're kind of looking for the next 3 or 4 game weeks. I'd never really, just personally, I'd never take Salah out on a hit. I would not do that myself, but sometimes it can pay off. So, it didn't happen this time, but it might next week. But yeah, Salah's just someone I'd rather have than get rid of. What's a good point score for this week? I'm on 65. I don't want to kind of, say an exact score, because I could say 60 and then someone gets 58 and 59. It's still a good score, but ultimately I think it's kind of rank dependent. You might have had like 55 points and still gone up in rank slightly. But ultimately, I think, if you got 60 points or more, you definitely had a good week. And even in the 50s, that's still pretty good, and you're not really too far off the average. So ultimately, I think your score is pretty good. I had Buendia for the first 2 game weeks. Thought I would give him one more game week, and he finally hauled. Yeah, I mean, that's why you got him in for the first 3 game weeks. So that's an example of good managing, and I'm not saying that just because you're here. It's just my opinion. He doesn't do well for the first 2 game weeks. You don't overreact. He's still got another good fixture where he could possibly haul. Ultimately, though, I'll be honest, I'm not really a big fan of Buendia. I had him in my Sky team, for example, and he just wasn't doing the goods. But end of the day, he might actually start hauling now. But ultimately, I don't know. He just kind of seems like a really good player in real life, or a good player. But in FPL, I'm just not too sure about him. But at least you got the points there. How do you know if they get bonus points, says Adam? Checking live FPL.net. If you go on that website, it's free to use. I'm not sponsored by them. You get the bonus points and you can see who gets them. But yeah, in terms of the FPL website, they're going to be updating it around, I'd say, 8 or 9 p.m. British summertime. Greenwood, no bonus points. I don't think so, Genius Game. I think the bonus points are going to Varane, Wan-Bissaka and Maguire in that order. Cody or Tierney? Tierney, Arsenal. I mean, look, the fixtures are good and there can be some, kind of change around in fortunes for Arsenal, but I wouldn't be recommending Tierney, because for the same price, really, you could get Soufal or Reguilon, who are just playing in much better defences and much better teams at this moment in time. So yeah, probably Cody would be a better one. He's cheaper, got great fixtures, and Wolves have been much better defensively compared to Arsenal. When are you making UCL fantasy teams? Well, to be honest, I was actually making them today, but because of the reaction stream, because of the Premier League games ending, I've decided to do this and talk to all of you now. But UCL fantasy content, I'll be working on it as soon as this stream is over, and I'll try to have it out within the next day or 2. I can't make any promises there, but I believe I can, and that will be for the first draft video, and then after that I'll be doing tutorial videos, and then more updated drafts, team selections, streams, you name it. Fernandes out forever, says Sid. I mean, I'm not sure about that. I think he can still be good, but now with Ronaldo coming in, I think he's going to be the main man at United. And 12.1 million for Bruno. Yeah, I mean, just very surprising now, just the way that Bruno kind of went from essential almost to kind of just being discarded and forgotten about. I still think he can hit 200 points or more. Should I use a free hit or wild card? Maybe use none, Josh, to be honest. It depends on your team, depends on your situation, your plans, what you want to do mid to long term. But from those 2 chips you say now, I'd probably prefer a wild card. A free hit could be more beneficial during a blank or double game week further down the line. Evening all. Thank you, Harry, for joining in. Currently have Trent, Shaw, Ayling, Tsimikas and Amati. Suggestions on replacement for Tsimikas and Amati up to 4.8 million. Cody stands out because of the fixtures, but I'd probably go for a Spurs defender around 4.5, 4.6 million. So Tanganga, Sanchez, Dyer, make your pick there. I'm not exactly sure who got the bonus points in that game. I think Reguilon got 3, Son got 2, maybe Tanganga got 1. I'm not exactly sure about that. But yeah, I think all of those 4.5 million defenders for Spurs are looking like the real deal. What to do with Creswell? Good question. I mean, he's still got an assist, I believe, and he is still capable of attacking potential, bonus points and clean sheets, but maybe you could go to a Chelsea defender. I just really like the look of them and they look so solid. I did predict actually in my preview, if you check it out, a 1-1 draw in Liverpool-Chelsea, but that obviously wasn't under the assumption of Chelsea going down to 10 men, and yet they still held out and they kept Liverpool at bay. So yeah, Chelsea are looking really good, and for me, it's between them and City for the title. I am leaning a bit towards Chelsea, but if City sign a striker, I'd obviously definitely favour them. Top 1k, no chips, still no Bruno, lol. Yeah, I mean, you don't need Bruno. Look, 2 blanks in a row, and there are so many other premium options coming into the game and really good rank, by the way, Harry. Really good rank. Do you have any plans for the upcoming game week? I've got an idea, and this is pretty much carried over from game week 3 and 2. So if we look at game week 4, this is how my team is looking like right now. And to be honest, it's a bit of a mess. So Ben White should be fit to play, but of course something could happen there. Trent I'm happy with, and same with Luke Shaw, and even Sanchez. You look at the midfield, Benrahma, Greenwood, Bruno and Salah. I'm actually happy holding them. Of course, I know a lot of people will be getting rid of Bruno either on a wild card with 2 free transfers or a hit, and they'll kind of invest that money up front, but I might just keep that as it is. Then Tony, Antonio and Ings. Ings is definitely the weak link. I know he's been very good this season so far, but he's got very tough fixtures coming up, and even if he does get a return or two in these upcoming games, I just don't think the ceiling is high enough when I can get, for example, Dominic Calvert-Lewin. If he's fit, I just really like his fixtures and his stats. His stats for Dominic Calvert-Lewin are pretty much right up there with Antonio. So he's someone I'm looking at. And if not, I could maybe do that 2 moves and get a premium striker like Ronaldo, like Lukaku, like Kane, and then maybe downgrade Bruno Fernandes. But another thing I could do also is get Heung-min Son. He's looking really good. And the thing is, he might not even get too many goals or assists in each game. He might just get 1, but he's just guaranteed the bonus points if Spurs get the result. As for my bench, am I really thinking of anything? I mean, to be fair, Ayling, I'm just not really too convinced about him and Leeds. I think they will get some clean sheets from game week 5 onwards, but not too many. I'm just not really feeling it with Leeds at the moment with their defence. Tsimikas, I'm just happy to have on my bench. I'm not looking to really get another Liverpool player anyway, like Sadio Mane or Firmino or Mane. Wait, I said Mane already. Or Robertson, for example. But and then when you look at Brownhill, 4.5 million, he's not a priority. Same with my second keeper. So really, Ings to Dominic Calvert-Lewin, or maybe looking to get a premium striker, Tony as well. I mean, either way, by game week 5 or 6, I am looking to get rid of him. It doesn't matter if he gets some hauls now. He's got some very poor fixtures from game week 6 onwards. But the rest I'm happy with. Benrahma, I just got in. I'm not going to overreact there. At least I hope I don't. And then, Ben White. I don't rate Arsenal, to be honest, but it is what it is. Let's try skim through these questions. There's a lot coming in right now. Let's see. What did I miss out on? Yeah, damn, I'm literally just kind of lost track there. Bobby likely pulled his hamstring, planned on holding Jota through the Chelsea match anyway, so even more reasons to keep him now given the fixtures. Yeah, that's true, and to be honest, he came off at half-time, didn't he? Yeah, I watched that game and some of the Arsenal City one, unfortunately. But yeah, Jota is looking like a decent option. I do prefer Greenwood, so long as he starts, but Jota's looking good. He's someone to obviously really keep an eye on after the after the international break. I think Leeds is actually a really good fixture for Liverpool, to be honest. Hit that sweet 65 points every game week and you'll do well. Yeah, that's easier said than done though. There's going to be times where your players will have the off day and it could be the majority of your team. So it's just impossible really to get 65 points each week. Fernandes and Ings to Ferran Torres and Ronaldo Lukaku, says Jared. That looks good on paper, but the thing is with Ferran Torres, I know he did really well against Arsenal. He's just not going to be starting every week and that's just going to be a consistent headache for you. Of course, he's relatively cheap, so you can get away with it, but yeah, I'm not really feeling it. Obviously, he's looked really good, but Arsenal are just terrible. I thought I was doing badly because I'm not in the top million but then I realised that just 40 points separates 1 million people. Over 35 game weeks, that is nothing, so no one should be panicking. Exactly, Josh. Completely agree. And that's the thing, it's very early days. We're literally 3 games in, and there's still so much more data, players to look at, clubs. There's going to be more options coming under the radar. You know, some underperforming players will start to get their shooting boots on. They'll start to get the clean sheets, the assists. So you're completely right there. Very early days. It's good not to overreact. And that's why, personally, I am going to try to save my wildcard for a bit more. So at least I have a better idea of, how this season is panning out, who are the best players and clubs, etc. Because last season I wildcarded very early. I think around a similar stage last season, and it just really didn't pay off, and in the end I took hits and I changed my team up again. So yeah, I probably would recommend waiting a few more weeks and being patient. DCL price rise again, might just have to get Ronaldo in straight away if so. I think it will be. Maybe not as quickly as before because he is flagged and that will put a lot of people off, especially the casuals, but I think it will, especially if Carlo Ancelotti, if Rafael Benitez says that he's coming back. But of course, we're probably going to get more information about that probably within days of the deadline, so we might have to wait some time there. Patrick says, definitely my favourite FPL creator. Really appreciate it, mate. And it's good to see you on these all the time. And of course, you have a fantastic rank. So yeah, really appreciate you joining in, mate. Amir says, Wolves is good from now on. No goals yet. So next game, 4 goals incoming. I'm not sure about 4 goals, but they are looking good. I think they can maybe score 1 or 2 in the next game, maybe keep a clean sheet. They've got some fantastic fixtures coming up, and yeah, it's looking really promising, to be honest. I was not planning to wildcard right now, but had a bad game week. What should I do? Well, it depends. If you had 2 good game weeks and now you've had a bad one, there's no need to overreact. You know, everyone has a bad game week, and you can't just chop and change all the time to kind of just chase points, especially last week's points. So what I would say is, don't overreact. Look at your team. Try to honestly assess what is your strengths and weaknesses for the upcoming game week and also the ones coming up. And if you're happy, relatively happy with your team mid to long term, and you don't need to make too many transfers, why waste the wild card? For me, unless you really want to bring in 7 or more players for your entire squad, I wouldn't, use the wild card. If it's 6 or less, you could actually make do without them with free transfers. That's why, in my opinion, it's very important to have 2 free transfers going into Game Week 4 during this international break, and I'm happy I'm in that position. So yeah, honestly, I probably wouldn't wild card just because you had a bad game week. Josh says, have a front 3 of Antonio, Wilson and Bamford, all got attacking returns. Swapped out Tony for Antonio, a bit annoyed Tony scored, but overall happy with 22 points from Antonio. I mean, yeah, Tony didn't do the business for you, and of course he did it as soon as you got rid of him, but you got Antonio in, so definitely nothing to worry about there. You made the right decision. Antonio is an upgrade on Tony. Best replacement for Barnes. Brent, let me know which players you have already, so I don't kind of name those that you already have, but out of the top of my head, I'd say Greenwood, Ben Rama still probably 2 of the best replacements. Rafinha, although he is a bit of a doubt for game week 5 or 6 potentially, if FIFA kind of force this thing through of international players. And that says, to make a long story short, I have your team except Livramento instead of White. Yeah, it's a very common theme, isn't it? A lot of people have similar teams. Livramento, of course, you know what, probably better option than White anyway, but yeah, Livramento's a good one. He's cheap. He plays every game. That's what you want from him. In terms of clean sheets, I just don't trust Southampton. But you know what? It's a good team you have. Amir says, I don't know if I'm going -8 or wild card, but if I'm doing -8, Bruno going for a 7 million midfielder like Rafinha, then Harvey Barnes going for Traore. Honestly, Amir, look, it's just my personal opinion. Go with your gut. If you have a really good feeling about it, it's backed by stats, go for it. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't take a -8 heading into Game Week 4 when Bruno has Newcastle, who, by the way, last season, Bruno got a double-digit return against them, I think, away from home at St James's Park. So I wouldn't do that personally. A -4, maybe, but even then, just getting rid of Bruno on a hit just doesn't sit right with me. 1 free transfer, and I don't know what to do. To be honest, that's not really a bad thing, because if you are in a good position this week and you don't need to make a transfer, then you can always just wait into Game Week 5 and then have 2, and then you have more flexibility. So I wouldn't be too kind of worried about that, Anas. Bruno and a forward for Farran and Ronaldo for -4, says Giordino. Well, in my opinion, this is something I said before about Ferran Torres. He looked fantastic against Arsenal, but he's not going to start every week. So if you're prepared for the occasional benching, for pep roulette, benching headaches, then go for it. Ferran Torres can be very explosive. He's a fantastic differential when he starts. The problem is, when does he start? And when the Champions League comes in, something that happened last season with Pep Guardiola and Man City, they actually played him a lot in the Champions League group stages, and in the league, Ferran Torres barely featured. So that could also come to pass. If City sign a striker, Ferran Torres is also going to kind of be down the pecking order. Gabriel Jesus is now pretty much a winger, if we actually look at it. So yeah, there's too many options at City, in my opinion. That's why I wouldn't really be too keen on that. And getting rid of Bruno on a hit, once again, doesn't sit right with me. Wolves have been unlucky not to get any points so far, despite being decent. Thoughts on a Wolves defender considering their fixtures? Well, very shortly I'm going to be showing you at the moment, my current Game Week 4 wildcard team. I'm not going to be using it, by the way. It's just kind of some ideas for you lot. And a Wolves defender does feature. 249 total, going for the wild card. I mean, that's a really good start, Swikar, and obviously thank you for sending in your team the other day. Going for a wild card, I mean, maybe you don't have to. You've had a very good start. But yeah, you got a few more points than me. I just checked now what I have. I mean, that's still a good start in my opinion. 237 points overall, 2 green arrows, 67 points this week, 327k rank, 2 free transfers. Used 1 free transfer last week to get Cody in early. No chips used. Pre-season payoff. Enjoy the break. Or yeah, pretty much, Dylan. And having a plan is very important, and not overreacting based on a few kind of bad results. Should I go for Wolves defender, says Clement Lopez. If you have 2 free transfers and you don't have another kind of priority, then I think getting a Wolves defender in early, and I think even now is early, ahead of their great fixture run, I think it's worth it. If not, maybe go for a Spurs defender. They have some tough fixtures coming up, but they still got some kind of easy fixtures sprinkled in between. So definitely a Spurs defender or Wolves defender at 4.5 million. Gray for Everton, good option, 5.5 and looks nailed. Honestly, Harry, the more time that goes on, Gray is looking absolutely fantastic. And he's someone that some viewers actually pointed out to me before Game Week 2 even started, and then he scored, and he's looking very good. So fair play to everyone who suggested that. Obviously, I'm kind of the type of manager that wants to see results first before kind of diving in. I don't want to go on some unproven asset, but Demarai Gray is looking like a fantastic signing for Everton, and yeah, I think he is actually worth considering. And even on a wildcard, actually, if you really want to kind of invest your money up front, Demarai Gray could actually be a good 4th or 5th choice midfielder for you. So yeah, he's someone that I definitely approve of. It's down to you anyway. You don't need my approval, of course, because he can do the business regardless. Is Tanganga nailed or Dyer a better option, says Singh. Okay, this is one thing I will say about Spurs defenders. When Romero is fully fit, I would expect him to come into the team, so maybe Davinson Sanchez makes way. If not, it might be Eric Dyer. So it's a bit of a tough one. Tanganga, I believe, is now at the moment playing at right back. Aurier is on the verge of leaving the club. Doherty's not really featuring, so maybe Tanganga is more nailed than Dyer and Sanchez, but I couldn't tell you that with complete certainty. But to be honest with Spurs, just bear in mind, one of those 4.5 million defenders will probably lose their spot to Christian Romero. Torres or Jota because Firmino looks injured. Look, I honestly prefer Jota. I know that might sound controversial based on what happened just now in Game Week 3, but I think Jota's more nailed. Torres is going to be in and out of the team, especially with Champions League coming up in 2 to 3 weeks' time. Sarr, Dele Alli or Rafinha? I honestly still prefer Rafinha. The problem is Game Week 5 or 6, especially with the international break coming in. Squirting can of Pepsi. Thank you for joining in the channel once again. You don't know the amount of relief I had when my captain Son scored after seeing everyone captain Antonio. Yeah, and this was actually asked a lot in my streams. Should I captain Son or Antonio? I just went with Antonio, but I still said Son's a very good captain. In the end, I think Antonio outscored him by just a bit. But both great captaincy options. They both did very well. And yeah, I believe actually, I'm looking back on it now, my top 5 captaincy rankings in my Game Week preview, I think I went with Vardy 5th, and I think he hauled. Bruno 4th, he didn't. He did poorly. Son 3rd. 2nd Antonio, and 1st Kane. And in the end, yeah, Kane didn't do the business. But it's good to see, most of the kind of popular or best looking captaincy options this week did the business. Well, I don't even want to read out that rank for him because, yeah, my brain is not really operating right. Look at my team and suggest transfers, please. I'm stressed. Yeah, okay, look, what I would say is definitely don't be stressed, especially about rank. You know what? It actually might even be a good idea, even for myself, to kind of not look at rank, especially this early on. What I would say to you is that I was in a similar position to you, I'd say 2 seasons ago in my first proper season of playing FPL. And I was up until that rank maybe in November or December. I kept taking hits. I was just playing the game for fun. I was making transfers left, right and centre. But then, once I started being patient, trusting in my transfers long term, making good captaincy decisions, being, I'd say, open-minded but also organised and having a plan, I went up the ranks and I entered into the top 60k or something like that. So what I would say to you is definitely don't panic. It's very early days. You're not that far off from the top million or the top 100k. So I wouldn't worry too much at this stage. In terms of suggesting transfers, I need to know your team. But yeah, don't be stressed. I've got the same starting 11 except Jota instead of Ings. Great minds think alike. Thank you, Vegard. Really appreciate it. I mean, I'm definitely not going to claim to be a great mind in FPL. I'm looking to improve. And yeah, I mean, Jota instead of Ings, yeah, there's not really too much difference between the two, to be honest. And going forward, I think Jota is a better option. So I think you are looking a bit better. Patrick says, I use one of my 2 free transfers to get Ferran Torres. I have a feeling you'll do well over the next 2 game weeks. Did you get him in ahead of Arsenal? If you did, fantastic decision there. But yeah, Ferran Torres can still be good. I don't want to put people off from Ferran Torres. It's just kind of a personal opinion of mine. I'm trying to stay away from City assets, at least the kind of the players who are not really nailed, the ones who can come in and out of the side. But Ferran Torres can be good. I have the exact same team, 1 free transfer. I'm thinking DCL in, Ings out, exactly the same Anas. I don't want to be boring. I don't want to be part of the template, but it's a very popular move this week. Ings to DCL makes complete sense with the fixture swings, with DCL's form. Yeah, I think it just makes sense. Hi Dylan, how are you, mate? Who's the best replacement for Bruno? I have 2 free transfers. Is it Ronaldo, Kane or Lukaku? I'm thinking of Ings and Bruno out, Ronaldo and Jota in. Looking at the fixtures, at least for the next 3, I'd say Ronaldo is, but if you look at the fixtures from Game Week 7 onwards for United, they look very poor, and the ceiling might be very, very low for Ronaldo and co. So, look, Ronaldo would probably be the pick of the bunch, but in Game Week 7, what you could do is get Ronaldo in now, and then in Game Week 7, when Chelsea have a fantastic fixture run until 11, I think Game Week 11, yeah, just switch to Lukaku for that period, and then you can switch back to Ronaldo. So that's probably the good thing about having a bit more flexibility up front. You can keep switching between these strikers, and then maybe Kane as well. He's going to have some good fixtures coming up. So yeah, I think I'd do that. Maybe Ronaldo, and then get in Lukaku in Game Week 7. But what I would say is that we haven't seen Ronaldo yet at United upon his return. So let's wait and see. Bunny says, 3 problems with my team. Pereira injured, Tsimikas and Marty, and Ings fixture run. Have only 1 free transfer. Any suggestions? Well, the thing with Tsimikas, as I said before, you don't have to get rid of him. You can just keep him as a 2nd or 3rd sub. I expect him to be getting these occasional 1-pointers, and he's just, 4.1 million, 4.2 million option. So it's not really a big problem there. But you do have a Marty too, and I expect him to lose his place to Vestergaard. So yeah, what I would say is probably get rid of a Marty, and if not, you could just get rid of Tsimikas and then try to upgrade him, maybe to a 4.5 million defender. Look at a Spurs one, for example, Sanchez, Dyer or Tanganga, and if not, Connor Cody. Fantastic fixtures from Game Week 4 or 14, and a lot of people won't be going on Wolves defenders. They look at the results, they just constantly blank, they constantly lose games, but the fixtures coming up, I think Wolves can get some results, some clean sheets, so I'd probably recommend one of those in terms of making a transfer. And you don't have to make one yet. You can always wait until Game Week 5, have 2 free transfers, and have a bit more flexibility. 63 points and still 2k ranked down. That's really impressive. This is the thing, so many good ranks coming up and good scores as well. Josh says Wolves aren't going to be considered by the casuals, so I might even recommend a Wolves midfielder on top of Semedo, says Josh. I agree to a certain extent. In terms of midfielders, there is Trincao, Neto when he comes back, Adama Traore potentially, and Podence, another one, when he returns. But in terms of Wolves, I think maybe just the defence is what I'm looking at right now. I want to see a bit more from the attack before kind of losing one of my midfielder and attacker spots for them. But I do agree, you have a point. A lot of people won't be looking at them because of the results. One more question. Play 2 of Rafinha, Tony and White, says Bauk. Hopefully I got your name right. Apologies if I didn't. It's very early days. Obviously a lot can change before the deadline, but as of now, what I probably would say is, Tony and White. I'd go for them too, and I'd bench Rafinha. Even though he can do well against Liverpool, I'd probably bench him. And also, he might even miss the game anyway if he's allowed to go to Brazil, a red list country. Leeds trouble up is a must Game Week 5. Trouble up, I like the sound of that. But if you mean triple up, definitely no. I wouldn't be tripling up on Leeds, but attacking Leeds from now on, especially with Liverpool, that might be the way to go. I had Kane as captain. He blanked. Should I keep him? Says Sundip. I probably still would keep him because I honestly think he will score in Game Week 4. Obviously, I got it wrong in terms of the preview when I ranked him first in my captaincy, my top 5 captains, but I still think he can do well. But going forward, you can always just keep him as a placeholder for Ronaldo or Lukaku. Of course, Ronaldo's looking very tempting against Newcastle in Game Week 4. Ings for DCL. It looks like a very sensible transfer, Ben. One that's very common. A lot of people are going to be doing it. But then again, you might change your mind. You might want to invest more money into your attack and upgrade Ings to a Ronaldo, a Lukaku or a Kane. So that's something else that you could do. Do you think Greenwood is nailed with his early form? I wouldn't say he's completely nailed. I still expect a bit of rotation, especially when the Champions League comes into play. But I think for the majority of games, he's going to feature heavily, whether he's coming on for 30 minutes or he plays 60, 70. But he's just been so impressive right now. The kind of problem now is that Ronaldo is going to come into the team. He's going to play up front. Greenwood would either have to play right wing, maybe left wing. We're just not too sure yet. Had a good start, but I have 3 players I would like to transfer out. Tsimikas, Buendia, Ings. Should I take the hit? I have 2 free transfers. If I don't take Tsimikas out, I'll have Ayling, Trent, Shaw next week. Look, it's not an ideal situation to play Ayling, but I probably wouldn't take the hit. So, look, this is the problem, having Buendia, Ings. They have a very tough fixture now. You probably wouldn't want to have them. Look, a -4 in your situation might... It probably makes sense, and you don't have to wildcard just because of 3 or 4 players. But then again, you can always, if possible, try to avoid that and maybe get a defender in who can cover Ayling. Bruno was most captain this week. Crazy, exactly. And I was considering it. He was my original captain. But then just before the West Ham versus Leicester game, I think it was. I'm losing track of time now. Basically, before my reaction stream, I think I changed it to Antonio. And then, of course, he did a madness, and I was just more convinced about Antonio. He had the form and the fixture. Wasn't too convinced about Wolves for United, and I even highlighted Greenwood as a potential captain option over Bruno. But yeah, Bruno's... He's been very disappointing in the last 2 game weeks, but game week 1, fantastic he was. DCL or Bamford for Ings? Says Ethan. Because of the underlying stats, because of how Everton are attacking, I have to say DCL, but Bamford's a good option still. He showed it today, got a goal, and he is someone to not underestimate. I think from Game Week 5 onwards, Leeds can be very good, or at least score a lot of goals, but I prefer DCL. What warrants a wild card in your eyes? Is a -12 hit too much to take? Says Lee Duncan. Look, in terms of hits, the most I take is a -8, and even then I try to limit it to a -4, and even then just try to avoid hits in general. In terms of a wild card, I would only wild card really if I want to make 7 changes or more to my squad. If it's 6 or less, yeah, I'm not interested. It has to be 7 or more in my opinion, something like that. It doesn't have to be an exact science. Sometimes it can be 6, but really what I'm trying to say is you don't want to just wildcard because of a few players. So if you can help it, if you can just wait another game week to then save some hits and some transfers, then maybe I just try to recommend some caution there. Is Digne and Soufal worth keeping for the next few game weeks? Any transfer thoughts? Maybe Reguilon or Reece James when he's back? Good suggestions, very good suggestions. Look, I know Digne just got a clean sheet, but I still don't trust Everton defensively. It's not really a knee-jerk kind of reaction. This is something I felt over time. So I think Reguilon would be a very good replacement for the next 2 game weeks. Then he's got some tough ones coming up. Reece James, when he comes back, is looking very good. And then there's also Marcos Alonso, although the thing I'd say about him is that Chilwell will be coming back at some point. So I'm not too sure about him. I think Rudiger is just nailed. He's cheap, relatively cheap anyway. Reece James at the same price offers more attacking threat, so that's why you named him. And now that he's got a red card, that kind of prevents him from rising in price. He'll either, if anything, he'll probably go down in price. So yeah, I'd probably recommend those sorts of players. Maybe keep Soufal for now. I know he's got some tough games coming up, but I'd keep him for now, and I'd probably get rid of Digne. I want to transfer out Dele Alli, ESR, Ings. I want Bamford, Jimenez, or Rafinha, Harrison, Adama, Jota. From those midfielders you mentioned, Jota or Rafinha are my picks. Personally, I think they're the best ones. As for the strikers, look, Jimenez could be really good. He's got fantastic fixtures coming up, but I want to see more from Wolves offensively. I think getting one of their defenders in, their cheap ones, makes sense. It's kind of not a risky transfer. Jimenez is a bit more risky, in my opinion. Bamford's a good one, especially from Game Week 5 onwards, but getting him in now ahead of Liverpool, not too sure. And you can always get DCL if you don't have him already for Ram. I'm thinking of downgrading Bruno to a 6 million midfielder to be able to fund CR7. What's the best option around this price according to you? Thanks. Appreciate the question, mate. Around 6 million, I'd say still Benrahma. I know he's a bit more, but if you can find that extra 0.2 million, I'd recommend him. If not, I'd probably say Damari Gray at this moment in time. I don't want to be kind of reactionary, but he's shown over the last 2 game weeks he's been very good. He's got good underlying stats. And from Everton at this moment in time, I think DCL and Damari Gray are looking like the best options. So yeah, I'd probably say Damari Gray as well. Which player should I downgrade between Soufal or Dyer, or do a cheaper defender so I can afford Ings to DCL? It will be for a -4 hit, says Jay. Or I could do Ings to Bamford for no hits. What do you think? That's a tough one. I wouldn't be downgrading Dyer at this moment in time. I think he can get another clean sheet. Tough one. That's really tough. Yeah, because downgrading Soufal as well, I mean, he might not be getting too many clean sheets. If you look last season, I think he got 9 clean sheets, as well as 9 assists, fantasy assists. At this moment in time, I'd probably say Soufal, but I still think he's a good option. And yeah, I'd do Ings to DCL. From -4 hit, you know what? In my opinion, I'd probably wait until Game Week 5, make 2 free transfers, and maybe get rid of Soufal and get rid of Ings. But of course, it's a difficult one because Ings faces Chelsea now. He's probably going to blank, so I can see why you want to take the hit. So I'd try to kind of save the hit, do it in Game Week 5 for free, but if not, just take the hit now. Hey mate, got 71 points this week, 9k now, can't believe it. Very good FPL Penguin, and appreciate you joining in once again. That's a fantastic score, and a great rank to be honest. Thanks for your response, no problem Bunny, appreciate it mate. Ings for Jimenez for differential. Yeah, look, I like Jimenez, especially over the last few years, but I want to see a bit more from Wolves personally. So if it was for my team, I wouldn't be going for Jimenez right now, but he can be someone to keep an eye on. The reason why is because, for 0.7 million more, 0.8 million more, you can get DCL. I'd probably go for him instead. Antonio is just the best around his price, really. But maybe as your third striker, Jimenez could be one to look at. I only got one free transfer left, and I got Ings and Ayling. They don't really got promising fixtures. Yeah, they don't really. Ings to DCL, if you don't have him already, looks like a very easy move. Why did you choose Ben White? Arsenal, lol. Well, really, look, if I'm being completely honest, I was looking medium to long term. From game weeks 4 onwards, I liked Arsenal's fixtures. 4.5 million for an Arsenal defender, at least by name, looks like a really good deal. I wasn't too convinced by the 4.5 million options this year. At Spurs, I wasn't too sure who's going to start, so I kind of went off them. With Wolves, very tough opening fixtures. I wasn't even too convinced about Ayling, to be honest, especially with Llorente out, and now he's obviously back. But yeah, why did I get White? Very good question. It's something I asked to everyone on Twitter. I don't know why either, but it's kind of, looking back on it, I'm trying to explain my thought process. I was looking medium to long term, and I still think, even against Norwich, I still think Arsenal can get a clean sheet, but of course, I'm not really too confident about Arsenal right now. Will Ronaldo play against Newcastle, says Josh? I think so, especially if he's registered in time, which he should be. Yeah, I think he will, and if not, he'll come off the bench, and then he'll definitely start in game week 5. My team: Sanchez, Trent, Shaw, Cancelo, Livramento, Amati, ESR, Dele Alli, Salah, Bruno, Brownhill, Antonio Ings, DCL, 0 in the bank, 2 free transfers. What to do? Exactly, look, your team doesn't look bad on paper. If I had to kind of pick out weaknesses, Cancelo could be a potential rotation risk. You've got 2 kind of cheap defenders. Livramento is fine, he's going to keep playing potentially. Amati is probably going to lose his spot, so I'd look to upgrade him to either a Wolves defender or a Spurs defender at 4.5 million. So the kind of names we already talked about. The midfield, this is where I'd probably change it a bit. So Dele Alli and Smith Rowe, I'd probably change both of them, to be honest. So Dele Alli you can change to Damari Gray or Benrahma, or even Rafinha. And then Smith Rowe, same thing really. So those names that I just mentioned, you can use to replace Smith Rowe and Dele Alli. Josh says, if Traore can string together what he did today when he's nailed for me, he was absolutely phenomenal today, and I'm hoping with the upcoming fixtures, he'll show some consistency. My play of Game Week 3, yeah, and to be honest, it's good to sometimes, pick out these underperforming players who are not getting the points, no one's looking at him, they're not going to consider him, and then he can start hauling when you're ahead of the curve. So that's a good shout that you make there. The problem I have with Traore is just his end product and his consistency. Barnes to Odegaard, honestly, look, and this is something I said even before, he can be a good option at 5.5 million, but there's honestly better like Damari Gray, so why go for Odegaard in my opinion? And he can have a very good game and still not get the points. Against Norwich, I think Odegaard can do well, maybe even get some bonus points and assists, but I probably wouldn't do it. 71 points, no Bruno, Son and Greenwood doing the business for you, DZ-ish. Very good, yeah. Son and Greenwood are doing exceptionally well for most people. Greenwood for me as well. Son is just so consistent at the moment, and yeah, I'd definitely rather have him than Bruno at this moment in time. So we're confident Greenwood will get the minutes with Ronaldo in? Not completely, if I'm being honest. I still think he'll be rotated, especially when Champions League starts, as I alluded to earlier. So I'm not completely sure, to be honest. I think he'll start most games, but not all of them. He'll be occasionally rotated. Maybe not as much as Ferran Torres, for example, but still enough to kind of be a concern. Potential Ings replacements. Do you back Raul Jimenez with the upcoming fixtures? I back him, but I'm kind of the kind of manager that I need to see something before committing. I know Jimenez has done it in the past, but this season I need to see more in terms of end product, in terms of Wolves attack and good crosses, good passes and service for Jimenez before going into that. But I think, yeah, in terms of Ings replacements, Jimenez is right up there, and there's still Callum Wilson. Antonio's a no-brainer. I'm not going to talk about him. I think DCL is also another one. Most people are going to be going from Ings to DCL. And if not, you can always kind of save the money and from elsewhere and invest it into your strike and have a premium striker up front. So those are the kind of names I'd suggest. Jimenez is definitely one to look at. Bruno has to go, blood. Says Alpha, yeah. Oh my God, these kind of memes I see everywhere, especially with Arsenal. Isn't DCL out for Game Week 4? He's injured out, but he's not completely out. I think he will be back. But of course, what I would suggest in terms of if you're thinking of that move from Ings to DCL, don't make it now. Wait for more news, especially, until the press conferences before Game Week 4. So probably, in a week or two's time. So yeah, I agree with you. he is a doubt, but I expect him to start. Yeah, I'd still not make a transfer now. I'd wait. There's no need to do it now. Sundip says, I want to go free up front, getting rid of 4.5 million striker. Should I get Calvert-Lewin or Lukaku? I have the funds. My other 2 strikers are Kane and Antonio. Honestly, I'd go for Calvert-Lewin in this moment in time, but don't make the transfer yet. I'd wait until pretty much the end of the international break, just before Game Week 4. I'd get Calvert-Lewin, and in Game Week 7, if you can, get Lukaku in. What are your transfer plans this week, Dylan? So they're not completely set in stone, but what I am thinking of is Ings to Dominic Calvert-Lewin, and of course I'm going to be waiting for injury news on that front. And what else am I thinking of? Potentially a 4.5 million defender or something like that. Maybe a Sanchez, a Dyer, or a Tanganga, if not a Cody. I'm thinking of one of those 4 defenders for either Ayling, Tsimikas, or White, potentially. And if not, maybe 2 free transfers, either involving Ings, Fernandes, and Tony. And I'd be getting a premium striker in potentially, and maybe just a cheaper midfielder. Those are my plans. Of course, it'll be more clear in my team selection video and all of that. And also, I'll be making a Game Week 4 best wildcard team. And speaking of that, I'll be showing you what I have right now, and you can give me your opinions on that. But yeah, those are my plans right now. Looking at your team, which is similar to mine, I can't see many weak spots, but what do you think about Greenwood in the coming weeks? He is at risk of being dropped. I could swap him to Rafinha, perhaps. I agree, Vegard. I completely agree. I think there might be a potential few weak spots. I think Ben White is a weak spot right now. Ayling. Tsimikas is only a weak spot because I don't have enough defensive cover, real good defensive cover to really, be able to get away with that. Ings has a very bad fixture. Tony is still, kind of in and out. He's going to be inconsistent. Same with Benrahma, really. But yeah, I think it's a decent team. There's a few weaknesses, but it's not too bad. I'm kind of comfortable and composed at the moment. In terms of Greenwood, just like I said to the others, I think he is going to be rotated from time to time. Not often, but he will be, and it's something to consider. When the Champions League comes in, that's when I expect Greenwood to be on the bench more often than not. What are good options for replacing Mahrez and Barnes? Good question. I'd probably say in terms of replacing Harvey Barnes, I'd still go for Benrahma, Damari Gray, Rafinha. And by the way, also to Vegard, who mentioned Rafinha, just bear in mind that if the Premier League have to release the players to these international games and Rafinha goes to Brazil, he's probably going to miss game week 4 or 5, around that period. So bear that in mind. But yeah, Rafinha is still a good option to replace Barnes. And then, yeah, Benrahma and Damari Gray, of course. In terms of replacing Mahrez, you could maybe just do a like-for-like switch for Torres, but once again, you're pretty much just getting someone who's a rotation risk. Next game, it could be Mahrez starting and Sterling, for example, and it could be Ferran Torres on the bench. So Pep is just a complete nightmare at the moment. In terms of replacing Mahrez, other options, if I'm being honest, I'd probably just still name the same kind of players there, regardless of price. Around Mahrez's, I'm trying to think of someone, but they're kind of just escaping me. I'm not really too confident. Maybe Greenwood if you don't have him already. Jota as well. I like him too. But yeah, other than that, I don't like the options around 8 to 9 million. Of course, there might be someone, it's just escaping me, but yeah, just not really too much at the moment. Hey there, hope you are well. Thank you, Katak, really appreciate it. Sarr or Rafinha? Already have Bamford. Good question. I probably still prefer Rafinha, but I wouldn't double up on Leeds attack, to be honest. So in terms of Sarr, he's another one actually. He's a good one to mention, but at this moment in time, I'm feeling Gray more. Same with Benrahma. Rafinha's a good option. Things will be easier to figure out tomorrow after CR7 price reveal. Yeah, true, and that's true. And that's why definitely don't, use your wildcard now. I know some people will do it just to kind of chase price rises and stuff, but there's no need to, kind of jump the gun. Best Wolves defender, Saiss or Semedo in my opinion. Saiss for attacking potential maybe. Saiss has been very good whenever he's played, but I'd probably say Cody just for how cheap he is. But yeah, I like Saiss as well. Bruno and Bamford too. Any premium to get in? I have DCL, Antonio, Salah, Benrahma. Very good players you have there. That's tough. I mean, you could just get, at this moment in time, well, when he comes into the game, you could get Ronaldo, and in game week 7, you can go to Lukaku and then make the switch again back to Ronaldo, especially around game week 14 or 15 when Man United have a fantastic run of fixtures for quite a while. Isn't DCL maybe injured? He's got a little doubt, but I think he will play. It's not too serious, but of course, what I would do in your case is just wait until pretty much the last few days before the deadline. Should I sell Ayling or Amati for a Wolves 4.5 million defender? Probably Amati, because I expect Vestergaard to come back, but don't make the transfer yet. You don't have to do it now. It doesn't matter if you miss a price rise or fall here or there. Just wait until, there's kind of more confirmation. Is Vestergaard coming back, etc. But if Vestergaard is coming back, I'd definitely get rid of Amati. Who should I take out Ings for? Either Dominic Calvert-Lewin if you don't have him already, or just get a premium striker by downgrading Bruno or someone else. Should I use Wildcard? I have a similar team. If you have a similar team to mine, from my perspective, you don't have to wildcard. That's just my opinion. Wildcard, another one. At least in my case, I don't think so. But let's actually show you what I'd come up with. Something like this. Okay, it's not completely set in stone. I'm going to have more time to reflect on this. And I'm going to be suggesting some alternatives to the players you see on screen. So in terms of goalkeepers, Sanchez is just there. I mean, in terms of 4.5 million ones, I'm not really liking the others. So Sanchez is fine enough for me. I think a Chelsea defender is just absolutely... It's always been in my plans. I just didn't go with it because of the fixtures early on, and I wanted Luke Shaw and others, but Rudiger is looking fantastic. If not, you can go for Reece James when he comes back from suspension, and there's also Marcos Alonso, but the problem with him is there will be rotation with Ben Chilwell. In terms of Spurs defenders, you don't have to go for Sanchez. You can go for Eric Dyer or Tanganga, and then when you look at a bit more pricey player, you can go for Reguilon, who got 3 bonus points today, by the way. Trent Alexander-Arnold, no-brainer. He's definitely the best Liverpool player right now. Robertson might kind of share some minutes with Tsimikas here and there. Doesn't mean Robertson can't get the clean sheet points and stuff, but he's not always going to play the full 90. Trent will probably do that. And actually, it's very interesting to see how Harvey Elliott's introduction to the team affects Trent. He's taken a few less corners, but Harvey Elliott is actually passing the ball into Trent, so it's not that bad, in my opinion. Then you look at City. This is where it gets a bit interesting. I think Diaz, if you just want someone who's nailed and you want a City defender, they've got the best or second best defense in the league. Laporte, though, at 5.5 million, and this is something I was talking about with a City fan before Game Week 1, before the Community Shield. He said Laporte and Diaz should be the main partnership. Now that means that doesn't mean that Laporte won't occasionally rotate with John Stones. That's, it's going to happen as Pep. But Laporte at 5.5 million, he should start most games, and I think he could be really good. He's got some attacking potential too. You saw it at the Euros, you saw it already in FPL in Game Week 2 against Norwich. I think he's a good one. Livramento, I'll be honest, I don't like him, really. Look, he plays, he's 4.1 million. You can't ask for more. But in terms of wanting returns from him consistently, don't expect it. He's pretty much just your 5th defender, 2nd or 3rd sub, not really someone to consider. In terms of the midfield, once again, 4.5 million midfielders. You can go for Brownhill, Gilmore. You could even maybe potentially go for 2 strikers and upgrade Brownhill to Damari Gray. That's what you could do. Or even have 8 attackers really and have Damari Gray instead of Brownhill. Salah, I think, I wouldn't say he's essential, but he's still captainable for the next, I'd say 3 of the next 4 games. So I really like him. Rafinha, this is a big question mark in this team, I'll be honest. Not too sure about him, especially if you wildcard, you get him in, and then he's going to miss Game Week 4 or 5 because he's with Brazil. That could be a really, a dagger to the heart. Greenwood is looking really good, but once again, it's a bit of a question mark. Is he going to start every single game? Probably not, especially when Ronaldo comes in, and especially when Champions League games start to appear for Man United. So once again, a few question marks around this team, and that's why what I probably would say, it's probably best to wait a bit more, gather more information. I'll be making a video once I have even more information, and I can maybe identify a few more low-key options. But at the same time, maybe wildcarding in a few weeks, maybe in Game Week 7 when we have another international break, I think. That might be better because we have even more data. We know how the Premier League is going to go, really. We have a good idea. And we know some of the best performing players, some of the underperforming ones who can really come to life with the fixture swings. And there's a lot of them, by the way, in Game Week 7. But yeah, the other one's Ben Rama. I know he blanked this week, but still a very good option. But just don't expect double digits every week, really. Lukaku, okay, I'll be honest with him. He's pretty much in this wildcard kind of draft. He is a placeholder for Ronaldo or Kane. but you don't have to have him. You could even still get Bruno in your team in midfield, or Heung-min Son, and then have maybe another 7.5 million striker or 8 million striker. So you don't have to have Lukaku. In my opinion, it's probably best to get him around game week 7. That's the way I see it. But Antonio and Dominic Calvert-Lewin, no-brainers. I'd have one of them at least. I think just around that price for the consistency, the underlying stats, the way their teams are attacking, I think you have to have one of them. But yeah, you don't have to have both of them, and you don't have to have Lukaku. That's pretty much what I'm saying. And Ronaldo, look, if you look at my budget, for example, it's literally dead on. I can't have any more. I don't even know what my team value is. I'll have to check that. So if Ronaldo comes into the game, you probably wouldn't be able to afford Lukaku out, Ronaldo in, if I'm being honest. But yeah, this is something, that you can do. Maybe you can downgrade Trent. A lot of people are going to be doing that to kind of facilitate Ronaldo coming into the team or something else. You're going to have to make sacrifices elsewhere, especially if you're looking to have 2 premium strikers or just 3 or 4 or 5 premiums in general. You're going to have to sacrifice some areas of your team. But this is just a rough draft. I would pretty much, what I'd say is target a Spurs defender if you can. You can maybe get Reguilon, and instead of one of these other players, get Cody or another Wolves defender. I think a Wolves defender could be good. So yeah, this wildcard team is definitely not perfect. You can slate it in the comments, and I'd completely understand. It's just kind of a quick one I came up with. Lukaku is someone I probably wouldn't get up until game week 7. And let's wait and see what happens with the Premier League and international games. But yeah, thank you everyone who was listening to that. I really appreciate it. Got 119 people watching. Really appreciate it. Straight after the game's finished. And just a quick plug, if you haven't already, smash the like button, subscribe if you're new, if you enjoy this sort of content, and share this video around with people who love UCL fantasy, FPL, and football in general. And remember to follow me on Twitter and Instagram, Dylan_RCM. I post regularly on those platforms, and you can always talk to me there. You can send in your teams every week, and I can rate them in future, rate my team videos and live streams. So more to come. And speaking of more to come, UCL fantasy videos will be coming very soon to the channel. I'll be doing a first draft video. I'll be doing tutorials for those of you who haven't played it yet, or that might need a bit of a refresh, which is completely understandable. But yeah, there's definitely more football to come and a lot more to dissect. But let's go back into this wildcard team. Let's see your thoughts about it. And let me try catch up with all the comments I missed out, which I probably have missed quite a lot, to be honest. Let me try see. I'll skim through these if possible. Thank you. And thoughts on Jota? Is Firmino injured? I like Jota even more now, to be honest. And the Chelsea fixtures out of the way. I expected him to blank there. I think he's still a very good option. And he might actually be better than Greenwood. I prefer Greenwood, but Jota, because he might be more nailed now than Mason, he's definitely one to look at. 53 points this week. That's fine, Stephen. That's pretty much, it's a good score. I'm going to have a score like that or even lower coming soon. And yeah, definitely don't overreact no matter what happens. Thank you. And yeah, I answered that. Thoughts on Dallas this season? Keep him for good fixtures. Honestly, I'm just not really a fan of him. 5.5 million. Just get Damari Gray, really, if you want a kind of like-for-like replacement. He's not really going to be attacking enough to be a very good midfielder for you, if you know what I mean. He was very good as a defender with the occasional attacking return in there. So honestly, not for me. Firmino could be back within the awaiting 2 weeks. That's true, Kruger. That is true. He won't be travelling with Brazil probably. I read this country, but yeah, we'll wait and see with Firmino. That's why it's very important to not kind of overcommit, and let's wait and see what happens in the press conferences leading to game week 4. Ronaldo, Lukaku, Antonio, Son, Fernandes, Sissoko, Torres, Varane, Christensen, Diaz, Lloris, wildcard. That looks really good on paper. Lloris is a bit expensive for 5.5 million. Look, I know they're doing really well, Spurs, at the moment, but they've got some very tough fixtures to come. And at 5.5 million, I'm not too sure. But it's a good team. No doubt about it. Who should I replace Ayling with? If you really want to get rid of him, I'd look at a Spurs defender like Sanchez, Dyer, or Tanganga. If you can afford the upgrade, go for Reguilon, and if not, go for Cody. Great fixtures. And let me try to improve this team live as well, because looking at it now, it doesn't sit right with me, if I'm being honest. I'd probably get in a Wolves defender if possible. Yeah. Let's get Cody. And let's see. Not sure. I mean, this is the thing. I would love to have a premium striker slot pretty much saved up there, but having Calvert-Lewin and Antonio and a premium striker is very expensive. You might have to sacrifice one of DCL or Antonio, really. It's a tough one. You can't have everyone. This is pretty much the kind of moral of the story. I'd love to have Son as well. Let's see. If I have Son, I'm pretty sure. How much money would I have? 7.5 exactly. I mean, I'd love to have Iheanacho, for example, if he was completely nailed. Guess what? He isn't. Just, I don't know, man. Callum Wilson I do like, but I don't like Newcastle, so yeah, you see, look, it's very tough to kind of come up with a team. I'd probably not go with Laporte then in this case, and yeah, probably save some money. See, this is the thing, decisions, but something like this I'd go with. I'm just not too sure about the striker and centre-back, but obviously Ronaldo will come into the game within the next day or two. He's probably going to be 12.5 million, so that's going to be very hard to kind of fit in. Who to get in to replace Firmino, who is injured? In terms of up front, yeah, Antonio or DCL are no-brainers, and if not, if you can upgrade, probably one of the premiums, so Ronaldo, Kane or Lukaku, and I'd probably go with Ronaldo, but obviously he's not in the game yet, so you can't do that. Hello Dylan, do you think taking a -4 to get Antonio and Sarr and get rid of Ings and Willock? It looks good on paper, but a -4, not too sure about that. I probably wouldn't, but I've been saying this for most people in terms of their hits. It's still worth it. I think it could be worth it long term, but if you can, maybe save it. Is it worth going for 5 or 5.5 million midfield for premium forwards, all three, Kane, Lukaku, Ronaldo, if they fit? I think having all three might be a bit overkill because you're probably not going to be able to have Salah, and in my opinion, it's good to have one premium midfielder. The reason why you get an extra point for scoring a goal, you get the point for the clean sheet, you're more likely to get bonus points. Salah is pretty much, always on penalties, so Salah, for example, you don't want to go without him, in my opinion. Of course, you can go without him. You can do well without Salah. But I think 1 or 2 premium forwards is fine. As for, is it worth going for a 5 or 5.5 million midfielder? There's no one really at 5 million, but at 5.5 and a bit more, you can. There's Demarai Gray. There's a few options coming about in Mbeumo. Odegaard and Smith Rowe could be good at one point. Gallagher's another one. But really, we're looking at Demarai Gray. At 5 million, there's no one. I think that the best option in terms of premiums for the next game week is to have a long-term fixture structure around 1 premium midfielder and 1 premium attacker. Alternate Ronaldo, Lukaku and Salah, Son. I completely agree, Josh. Obviously, alternating can be a bit risky, but then again, if you play it right, especially if you play it to fixtures and you have a bit of stats to back it up, it could be the right thing to do. So I agree with you, to be honest. I think that is the best way to do it. That's why in this kind of wildcard draft you see on screen, I'm trying to fit a premium attacker as well, but ultimately I can't go with Son and Salah. I'd have to downgrade him, or if not, downgrade Trent. So that's kind of the dilemma I'm having with this draft, but I completely agree. I think that could be the way to go. FPL alerts best for bonus points. Yeah, fair enough. And I think I was using FPL status, I think. It's pretty much a bot that kind of just does the bonus points or updates all the kind of FPL related stuff. Do you know how many bonus points Greenwood got, says Rennie? He got 0, I think. Varane got 3, Wan-Bissaka got 2, and Maguire got 1. Thoughts on Adama Traore in for Barnes. Amazing fixtures and he has looked sharp. Look, I think if you want a punt, you want a differential, I think Adama Traore could be good. The reason why I'm not too keen on him is his end product, and I want to see a bit more from him and Wolves' attack, but he can be a very good one. You could be ahead of the curve there, but it is a lot of ifs and maybes, if I'm being completely honest, but it's a good option. I'm not going to talk you out of it. It's just from my point of view, I wouldn't be going for it for my team, but it could do wonders for you. Can I get Jesus for Ings and upgrade Dele Alli to Torres, also in midfield? At least one will play and surely score. Yeah, but at the same time, there's also the possibility that both of them don't play. Obviously, maybe not too likely, but I don't know. It's just kind of undoing your team even more and then getting in 2 City attackers. I just don't think it's worth it, in my opinion. 82 points, what a week, says Johnny. That's amazing. Greenwood didn't get any bonus points. Yeah, exactly, Jerry. Is it worth taking a -4 hit to get Ronaldo for Newcastle? Depends who you get out. If you get rid of Bruno, for example, it could ultimately backfire. It could be worth it, though. -4 for Ronaldo, but of course, let's wait for him to get added to the game before kind of completely committing to these sort of plans. Sanchez isn't looking too good, so he doesn't rack up saves and has a low floor. Do you think Raya is a better option? Yeah, okay, that's true. Maybe I was being a bit harsh on the 4.5 million goalkeepers. I think Raya could actually be a better one, but do I trust Brentford long term in terms of the defence? Not too sure, but maybe you're onto something there. He could be kind of the new Martinez really this season. Firmino injured, who to get in for him? Yeah, Antonio or Dominic Calvert-Lewin if you want someone kind of cheaper. And if not, kind of just look upwards for the premium forwards. Kane, Lukaku or Ronaldo. Ronaldo would probably involve, another striker, really, or another transfer, should I say. How about bringing in Sarr? He looks good today, and upcoming Watford fixtures are nice. Look, around 6 million. Him, Benrahma, Damari Gray, Rafinha, they're probably the four that stand out the most right now. So I think Sarr's a good choice. From Watford, really, if I'm being completely honest, not looking at anyone else right now. Maybe Dennis at 5.1, 5.2 million. But I think, yeah, Sarr is the standout. Thoughts on Trincao? He's a decent player, but once again with Wolves, I need to see more from them before committing. And Trincao, he's not really, or at least so far in his career, he hasn't gotten too many goals and assists, really. But you know what? Maybe he will this time round. To be fair, at Barca, he never really played or started. Go for Sai, says SJ. Yeah, fair enough. And by the way, I'm not wildcarding. Just a disclaimer for anyone watching this video. I'm not wildcarding. This is just kind of a team I'm putting out. So how much is Saiss? 5 million, yeah. Okay. Let's try get this right. I mean, getting rid of Trent, it might actually be an option. I might downgrade Trent and just find money elsewhere. Obviously, I can't add Ronaldo in right now, just to let you guys know. Maybe I'll just put Kane because he's a similar price, really, to what Ronaldo will be. And by the way, in UCL Fantasy, Ronaldo is like 11 million. He's not going to be 11 million in this game, just to kind of heads up there. Yeah, Kane, I wouldn't be getting him in maybe right now. But yeah, you can get Kane. Let's see. Essentially, Ronaldo would be defense. Size. I mean, at 5 million, I'd probably just prefer having Region. So this is what I'd probably do. Let's see. Region. There we go. Instead of Sanchez, I could go for Cody instead. There you go. But of course, you can go for Size if you want. And maybe a 4.5 million defender from Spurs. And then how much do we have left? 10.2. Yeah, we're kind of to the bare bones right now, really. Damn, son. Maybe Damari Gray, maybe. I'll put him in right now. I'll show him a bit more faith. He's still 5.5 million. I thought he'd have gone up by now. And then 4.7. Who can you get around 4.7, really? That's a good question. I wouldn't double up on Spurs defense, despite how good they've been recently. Yeah, I'm not too sure about this stage of the wild card, but yeah, I will probably be making changes for the video. Don't worry about that. I might just put a Spurs defender in now, but of course I'm open to your suggestions. You might be able to find a way to improve this kind of wildcard team. The reason why I'm also kind of a bit reluctant for the wildcard is too many question marks in the air. Obviously Ronaldo's price is still in the air. We're going to wait though. It should be coming very soon. The international break, how is that going to affect Game Week 5 and 4? Not too sure, to be honest. But yeah, let's go with something like that for now. But triple Spurs, double Spurs defense. I'm honest, they've got some tough fixtures coming up very soon, and I expect them to kind of fall, if I'm being honest, but I could be wrong. Let's see. 130 people watching, really appreciate it. Let's try go through the questions I've missed out. I'm considering DCL for Ings, but damn. When is Ronaldo going to be added? Good question. I think he's going to be added pretty much 1 or 2 days after the contract is signed and, it's kind of officially announced. When will Ronaldo be added? Yeah, pretty much same thing. Wait, you played your wildcard? No. And I don't want to be reactionary. So this is just literally a wildcard draft for people who are considering it. And it's not perfect. I can literally pick out 3-4 holes instantly. There's definitely ways to improve this. I've probably gone too big at the back if we're looking at this. I mean, look how much money's invested there. So maybe downgrading a Trent or someone else would make sense. I keep listening to experts. They all say don't take Greenwood, but all experts have Greenwood and he always scores. I hate this. Well, this is the thing. I mean, FPL experts, there's content creators, there's managers who obviously have a lot of experience of doing well, but ultimately just make your own decisions. And, if you have a gut feeling about something, go for it. A lot of people were not keen on Greenwood. They were even telling me this, whether it's viewers or even looking at other videos or whatever. They'd be saying, I'm not really too keen on Greenwood. He's going to be a rotation risk. And then he does the business. So ultimately, just trust your own instincts there. Could you show a wildcard team, says Jake? This is the wildcard team on screen. Hopefully you can see it. Otherwise, I've literally just wasted... Oh, yeah, okay. It's all good. Yeah, this is the wildcard team. It's not perfect. I'm going to be making changes until, in a few days' time or in a week's time, I'm going to be making a wildcard video. Hopefully it'll be better than this, really. Got in Kane from -4, Gameweek 3, and captain him over Antonio. These things happen. I think Kane, any day of the week, he can outscore Antonio or any player in the league. Barnes and Ings to Jota and Jimenez. Don't want Ronaldo because it takes a -4. Ooh, that's tough. I mean, I probably wouldn't. I mean, obviously you're not taking a hit there, so fair enough. Jimenez, I would prefer Jimenez over Ings for the next few game weeks, but I mean, if you don't have DC, I'll just get him instead if you can. When is the overall rank update? Pretty much around 9 p.m. 10 p.m. is when the kind of scores update now. Last season, I think you'd have to wait until 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. GMT or British Summertime for the actual updates to take place. But right now, maybe in 2 hours' time or 1 hour's time. I want to sell Martinez. Who should I buy? I mean, in terms of goalkeepers, like-for-like replacement Lloris, although I think he's just too expensive. And let's actually see the goalkeepers. I think Raya is looking like the standout right now. Yeah, Raya. Lloris, Raya. I'd still say Sanchez. Other than that, I think the rest are too expensive and you could do better. Although, let me actually have a scout. This is the problem with Raya. Look at the fixtures coming up very soon. He's done very well so far. He can still do well in some of these tougher games, but just don't really see it being worth it. Yeah, at this moment in time, I'd go for Lloris or Sanchez, really. But Raya, very, very good so far. I think Backman would fit better in the wildcard. Then you can pick Brighton defender to cut budget. Fair enough. Yeah, that's a good suggestion, Mohammed. The reason why I'm just not too keen on Watford defence and Backman, just like Sanchez, just hasn't really got the save points, and the clean sheets are kind of scarce for them, at least so far. Arsenal fixture against Norwich looks tasty. For who? For Norwich? I mean, I don't know. Maybe. You know, hopefully Arsenal turn it around. You know, it would be great. I think they will have a reaction. Arteta's really on his last legs, really, as Arsenal manager. Fernandes out for Greenwood and Ings out for Kane. Saves 0.1 million. That is an option for Ram, and you could have Kane as a placeholder for Ronaldo. I mean, look, it depends how much budget you have, because I wouldn't make those transfers yet and just wait for Ronaldo to be added to the game. You could maybe get Ronaldo instead. But of course, you'd be doubling up on United attack if you want to do. Aubameyang is a goal next few weeks instead of Ings. Kane. Aubameyang, I don't know. I just don't really see the appeal of him. But of course, in game week 4 against Norwich, I think he could be maybe the best captaincy even. Dylan, great content as always. Thoughts on Veltman? Time to swap out for a Wolves defender. Thank you, Steve, mate. Good to see you here again. Yeah, I think, look, Veltman's coming back now. And he could maybe help to tighten things at the back for Brighton. But Wolves have fantastic fixtures, so it's a low-risk transfer. If it doesn't pay off, it's not too bad. You should have other defenders as well, I'm guessing. So I think it makes sense. If not, a Spurs defender at 4.5. How long are you going for Greenwood? Pretty much until he starts to kind of be benched, really. And that will probably be around the Champions League. But for now, I'm happy to keep him. Any Arsenal player is bad right now due to the manager, says Hatter. Yeah, potentially. That's the thing with Arsenal. At this moment in time, they all look bad. But against Norwich, Aubameyang could be a very good pick. Pepe, if he returns from injury. Yeah, not really. We're scraping the barrel, really. Yeah, wait. My bad, Even Hall. I didn't mean to put you on timeout. I meant to put Mike on timeout because he was spamming. So Even says you can't be an FPL expert. It's a game of football. Anything can happen. It's just logical guesses. Exactly. I completely agree. I never claimed to be an FPL expert, whatever. I could finish first, top 1k, top 10k, whatever, or even 1 million. I'm not going to claim to be an expert. It's literally just down to logical guesses and opinions. Sometimes not even making logical guesses, just going with your gut. And yeah, apologies for timing you out. Hopefully I can undo that, but I don't know. I don't think I can. Let's see. Unhide? Yeah, apologies for that. That's my fault. Let's see. Should I drop Bruno because Ronaldo will be taking pens and free kicks? Look, I still think Bruno's going to be a good option, and I said this in my deadline stream, and even after a blank for Bruno, I'm going to maintain the same thing. I agree with you though. He's going to lose the set pieces, especially the penalties. His appeal's going to go down. I don't see him getting 250 to 300 points like he's probably capable of with those in his arsenal. So, yeah, I think ultimately he's not going to be as good of an asset as he was before, but he's still good. If Ronaldo's taking penalties, then I'm selling Bruno for Greenwood and free some funds for Lukaku or Kane. Looks like a really sensible set of moves there, SJ, to be honest. But of course, let's just wait and see what happens. I mean, yeah, I just can't see Ronaldo sharing penalties with Bruno. Even with Portugal, for example, at the Euros, it just didn't happen. Greenwood was a no-brainer because of him playing centre forward. That said, 2 of his goals have been poor goalkeeping, where it hits the goalie and goes under him. That's not sustainable. Yeah, and Greenwood is a very good finisher anyway, so his underlying stats aren't really that good, but because he's such a good finisher, he tends to pluck them away. But I agree, maybe he's been a bit lucky to have so many goals so far. So if we're being honest, it's not that sustainable, and even his starting berth is unsustainable. Will Greenwood start with Ronaldo? I think occasionally he will, but not all the time, because where's Greenwood going to play? Right wing, left wing? We have Rashford coming back at some point. We've got Sancho coming into the mix now. So ultimately, I'm just not too sure about that. Even Daniel James can get the occasional start. So Greenwood is going to be facing a very tough, tough competition. But he's been so clutch for Man United recently, so it would be a bit harsh to drop him. I think maybe against Newcastle he'll start alongside Ronaldo, but as the Champions League comes along, he'll be benched. That's what I see. How do you sell a player, says Nikos? And yeah, don't spam the chat, please. I don't want to put more people on timeout. Just ask it once and I'll answer. In terms of selling a player, I mean, you just literally go to the transfer section, if this is what you're on about, by the way, and you literally just remove them, select, and just pick the player that you want to get, and then make transfers. And then on the app, it's pretty much the same thing. It's very simple to do. So yeah, hopefully that answers your question. Apologies if it doesn't. Greenwood is United's top scorer, so he will start. Yeah, I think for the time being he will, but going forward I'm not too sure. Well, you are an Arsenal fan, so your thoughts on Saka? As an FPL game at the moment, and yeah, what is he, 6.5 million? You can get better. You can get Benrahma, Rafinha, Damari Gray, Sarr. Yeah, nah, there's too many, man. Nah, don't go for him, in my opinion. Bagman made 7 saves. Shouldn't that get him save points and some bonus? Yeah, he has, especially today, I guess. But I don't know with Watford. It's just, I know they kept, I think, 7 clean sheets on the bounce to end the season. But it's a personal thing, by the way. I could be completely wrong. I just don't trust Watford enough defensively. But with the fixtures coming up, maybe Bagman is a solid choice. So on a wild card, let's look at him actually. Maybe Bagman is a better choice than Sanchez. So maybe I am being a bit narrow-minded there. Let's actually check. So, yeah, he got 4 points today. Very impressive. Yeah, but look, this is what I mean. So 7 of the 8 saves he's made so far came today. Of course, against tougher opposition. Is he going to be making as many saves against Wolves, Norwich and Newcastle? Maybe he will. I could be wrong. I think he'll get 1 or 2 save points in those games. Maybe perhaps more, but that's what my prediction would be. Maybe 1 or 2 clean sheets potentially. But long term, I don't trust Watford. And then you look at the fixtures up until Game Week 15, because ultimately when you wildcard, you also want to look medium to long term. You don't want to just look for the next 3 fixtures where Bagman might be the highest scoring goalkeeper. But then beyond that, is he really going to be worth it? And you would want to actually save a goalkeeper transfer there and use your transfers elsewhere. You don't want to be taking hits, really. But Bagman could be a solid choice. Him or Sanchez. Lloris is obviously looking like the best one so far, but the fixtures are poor and he is expensive. There's no such thing as a perfect team or player, by the way. That's very clear. But it's a very good suggestion you make there. Cody for Duffy or leave it on the wild card. Already have Livramento. There's the thing. Just wait and see for more news on Veltman. I think he should be coming back in Game Week 4, according to the comments by Graham Potter. And yeah, Cody's looking like a good option for the next 10 game weeks. But I don't know. We need to see more from Wolves anyway. But I think he could be, one of those picks that get you ahead of the curve. I'm going for wildcard. Greenwood in or out? At this moment in time, I'd say in, but just bear in mind that in 2 to 3 game weeks time, the situation could change, especially with other competitions coming in. Don't put Kane, trust me, let him settle in first. Look, just to make it clear, obviously it's not clear at the moment, and I apologise for that. The reason why I've got Kane in there is because he's literally a stand-in for Ronaldo. So until Ronaldo's added to the game, I'd put him instead. And look, I've got 0.2 million in the bank. If Ronaldo is 12.5 as we expect, he'd literally just come in for Kane. But of course, my budget will be different to yours. You might not be able to afford this, but yeah, instead of Kane, let me just get rid of him actually. That will be Ronaldo, the kind of missing man there. So hopefully that makes it clear. But yeah, at this moment in time, I'd rather have Son, of course. But I do believe Kane will come good in Game Week 4. That's just kind of a gut feeling I have at this moment in time. Mara's opinion. I'm completely shocked he didn't start against Arsenal. I thought he would have. But this is the thing about City. You can't tell with Pep what he's going to do. So a few players are relatively nailed or play most games, like Diaz, like Edison, maybe Gundogan, Grealish at the moment. but the rest are just literally in and out of the team. So with Mahrez, if you have him, I'd get rid. He might haul next week. Just, be prepared to kind of deal with that, because long term he's just going to constantly be in and out of the team, and at 8.9 million, just not really worth it. Get Christensen, not Rudiger. He starts every game, Christensen. Fair enough. And he got man of the match actually against Liverpool. That's a very good suggestion, to be honest. And what is he, 5 or 5.5 million? I think he's 5.5. Let me actually check. Let's get in Christensen. No, not Ben White. He's 5 million now. That's a fantastic price. Yeah, that's a really good suggestion, mate. Really appreciate that. Let me just double check his points so far in detail. So yeah, he's played 90 minutes every single time. 7, 6 and 2. In Sky, he would have got some bonus points, obviously, for his performance against Liverpool. But yeah, that's a really good suggestion. He's a differential 1.9%. That's a fantastic suggestion, so really appreciate that. That's actually something worth keeping an eye on. Might even get him for my team, so yeah, like that, mate. Troller guy. Though it's on Greenwood, will he get rotated? Also, what about Bergwijn at 6 million? What about 4.5 million keeper should I get? And also, what are your thoughts on Marcel at 4.5 instead of Cody as he plays left mid? Okay, so Marcel instead of Cody is a very good shout. I think you could go for him instead. You don't have to get Cody, so maybe you're onto something there. In terms of 4.5 million keeper, Sanchez, Bachmann. I think those two would be the main ones. I like Raya in terms of what he's done so far, but the fixtures are really poor coming up, so that's why I'm not too keen on him. Bergwijn at 6 million, I don't like him. I prefer Sarr, Benrahma, Damari Gray, and Rafinha at a bit more, so not for me. And as for Greenwood, I think he will be rotated from time to time, but not in Game Week 4, although I could be wrong about that. And also, one thing that plays into Greenwood's favour that I haven't mentioned yet is he's not going on international duty to England, so he's fully rested and charged up, so I would expect him to start Game Week 4. But beyond that, it is a risk. I want to buy Calvert-Lewin and buy Ings. What do you think? And about who's going to take penalty kicks, Richarlison or Calvert-Lewin? Yeah, Calvert-Lewin will be the main penalty taker, it looks like, and Richarlison missed one actually in the Olympic final against Spain. I'd rather get Calvert-Lewin. I wouldn't get Ings right now. Thoughts on Gray at Everton? Thinking of bringing him in. I think at 5.5 million he's the best option so far, and he's going to be going up in price very soon. He'll be 5.6 in no time really. So yeah, he's a good option. Is he? He's still not someone I'd want to start consistently week in, week out, but he has been very good so far, no doubt about it. Should I transfer out Barnes for Gray, expecting price changes? Look, it's easy for me to say I'm not in your position, but I honestly would wait until pretty much Game Week 4 arrives. I wouldn't want to be taking a risk. What to do with Barnes, says Eat Spicy? I'd honestly sell. Man City up next, isn't it? Yeah, I'd probably sell him, to be honest, and I got rid of him before Norwich. I expected him to haul, but just the kind of thinking I had was I don't want him long term. I prefer other assets, and he blanked again. Christensen is a good option instead of Rudiger, and maybe get Ayling for Cody. Can't see if you have him, by the way. Yeah, I have Ayling originally, but I think Cody just has far better fixtures, and I think Wolves have been better defensively so far. But of course, there can be some clean sheets down the road for Leeds as well. Think it's worth holding on to Greenwood with a wild card? I think so, at least for the time being, but in a few weeks' time, it might be worth transferring him out. Gray is great. So far, yeah, definitely. I've gone with Mbeumo as a differential pick. I am looking for other options. Any suggestions for 5 million midfielder? At 5 million, there's no one really. It's just literally Damari Gray at 5.5. At 5, there's no one really for me. Good job on the video. Have 2 transfers and 241 points leading my mini league. Thinking about transferring out Mahrez, Bruno. Have Salah, Rafinha and Benrahma. Want to bring Gray and Jimenez. Nice 3 games ahead. All good choices, and appreciate the comment very much, Alex. Yeah. Transferring out Mahrez makes complete sense. Bruno, he can still do well, in my opinion, but yeah, that makes sense. And Salah, Rafinha and Benrahma, so long as they don't go on international duty, to redless countries, should be fine. Yeah, Gray's looking good. Jimenez could be ahead of the curve, but as I said before, I prefer DCL and Antonio to name 2 players. Sorry I'm late to the party. No problem, mate. Had an okay game week, 71 points, more or less, stayed at 5k ranked. I mean, that's more than okay in my opinion. That's a fantastic score, and you're in a great position, to be honest. It will cost you points, dude. Bring Mason Mount. No, he's been looking really good this season, I'll be honest, and I think he will get more attacking returns than he did last season, but I mean, at the same price you can get Jota or Greenwood, so it's not like you have to have him. Hey, when will be the best time to use triple captain? Honestly, it's too early to say when, because it tends to be best used in a double game week, maybe even triple game week, like game week 35 last season. Yeah, I'd wait. I wouldn't be thinking about that right now. There might be a few fixtures looking really appealing for Salah, for Ronaldo, or these sorts of players, and if you really back them, go for it. But ultimately, most people tend to use it in a double game week. It increases your chances of a return. Are you going to wildcard, Dylan? I'm not. This is literally just a wildcard team for people, kind of bouncing some ideas, but some things to say. Not sure about the 4.5 million keeper. Cody could be Marcel, Christensen could be Rudiger, Trent could even be downgraded to someone else. Double Spurs defense is not something I'd be keen on. And then this kind of blank player you see here is Ronaldo, really, but you don't have to have him, especially if you have Greenwood or Bruno. But yeah, ultimately, this is why it's too early to kind of make an amazing wildcard team. It might look really good right now, but it might not even get the points in the end. After 2 weeks break now, Rashford comes back to the left, Sancho right, Bruno, Pogba, Fred, McTominay, Ronaldo up front. No space for Greenwood next week, agree. But this is the thing, I don't think Greenwood deserves to be benched, so I still think he should start, even ahead of Sancho, for example. But of course, if Sancho is obviously in Ollie's good books and Ronaldo is coming straight in, then it's going to be really difficult for Greenwood. But, is Rashford going to be kind of rushed back in? I'm not too sure about that. Greenwood will be nailed until Rashford is back, so that is 3 or 4 more game weeks. Not completely sure about that. It's not something I can tell with complete confidence. I just think for the next 2 game weeks, Greenwood should be fine, but even then, don't be surprised if he's rotated. And going into Champions League, that's also going to limit his minutes even more. Who should I swap for Tsimikas? Have 5.2 million once sold of Arnold and Shaw as the other 2 defenders. 5.2 million, either Reguilon, Soufal, Sanchez, Dyer, Tanganga, or Cody or Marcel, one of these players, or Christensen, 5 million, fantastic option. He'd probably be my pick of the bunch. Not sure why Christensen got man of the match versus Liverpool. Yeah, I agree. I don't know why I got it either. Looking at Rudiger's stats for last season, he would reach about 180. Not sure what Christensen would be permanent or will get rotated. Yeah, I think when Christensen's fit, he tends to be first choice, but he's not completely nailed, so I agree with you there. Defender for 5.2 million? Yeah, like I just said before, I'd probably say Reguilon, Christensen, one of the Spurs defenders at 4.5, or a Wolves defender at 4.5. Lukaku instead of Kane, Villa's defence is awful. It is, but then look at the fixtures coming up straight after for Chelsea. Let me just have a brief recap. I believe, Tottenham away and City at home. Still can be some returns there for Lukaku. But then look at game week 7 to 11, even game week 12. Fantastic fixtures, really. Just Man United in game week 13. But even Watford, 14, great fixture. So yeah, Chelsea are looking really good, heading into that period. I think Greenwood will play instead of Rashford. Even when Rashford's back, he's playing too good to be rotated or benched. I agree, MSK. And you're a United fan. Hopefully you have a bit more insight there, but that's what I think too. Koundé and Thiago Silva coming in. Christensen may not start. That is true. This is why, when you're wildcarding very early, it's so many things can happen yet with injuries, with transfers. So this is just some ideas, but I'd like Christensen at 5 million if he starts. But of course, I'm not completely sure if he starts every game. Christensen is a gamble because of Thiago Silva. Agreed. I agree. It's just a good suggestion made by one of the viewers, and I think it's worth kind of highlighting. Not many people will be thinking about him. Dylan, second question, if you don't mind. We have similar teams and identical points after game week 3, 246. Wow. Thoughts on Soufal, please? I like him. But in terms of clean sheets, he's not someone I expect to get too many of them. So maybe Reguilon would be a better choice if you want a bit more certainty with defensive returns. But he is a good option. He's going to get some attacking returns soon. But yeah, you can go without him. You don't have to have Soufal. If Aspie goes back into back 3 and Thiago plays no Christensen, that is true. That is true. This is why, when I make my wildcard video, there'll be plenty of changes. Don't worry about that. But yeah, let's see. Rudiger would just be my pick in terms of being the most nailed, but even Rudiger was rotated last season, if you remember. So yeah, there's literally no kind of final answer here, and unfortunately, we'd still have 12.5 million. Yeah, that's fine. And Ronaldo hopefully could come in to fill in that spot. But yeah, Chelsea defender, I'd want to have one of them. Reece James, when he comes back, could be the guy, but not too sure about that. Marcel instead of Cody. Double Spurs defense, not too sure about that. The midfield maybe could improve a bit, but if you want Ronaldo, you want 2 really good strikers in Antonio and Calvert-Lewin, and you want Salah and Trent in the back, yeah, you've got to make some sacrifices elsewhere. Defender for 5.2 million, Semedo, Wolves, Reguilon, Spurs, Tanganga, Spurs, Brandon Williams. Yeah, I'd definitely go for Reguilon or Tanganga, Domba. What do you think of Adama Traore? Very good underlying stats, very poor finishing. I just prefer other options at his price. That's why I'm not considering him, but he's worth keeping an eye on. Benitez stated Calvert-Lewin first choice and Richarlison second penalty ticket. Exactly. And Calvert-Lewin, the only problem really is just waiting for the injury news in a few weeks' time. No, Thiago Silva does not really play that much. Well, he did come off the bench, exactly. He wasn't a starter, but this is the thing with Chelsea. They have so much depth, they can play anyone and really get away with it and still keep clean sheets. How many players, hits or transfers would you say warrants a wild card? I'd say 7 or more changes warrants a wild card. Otherwise, there's no point. And I wouldn't take minus 12 hits anyway. But I wouldn't also use that as an excuse to wildcard. What's your Insta want to send a team? It's Dylan_RCM. I'll show it at the end of this live stream. I'm going to be wrapping up very soon. Thank you everyone who has joined in. We've been live for around an hour and a half. I really appreciate it. Silva only just returned to match fitness. Yeah, exactly. I think he picked up a knock just after the Copa America. Manchester United got an insane fixture run from Gameweek 15 to 27. Yeah, exactly. Imagine Ronaldo in this time period. Yeah, it's very scary to imagine that, to be honest. And that's why it's good to plan, and that's why maybe a wild card down the line, it's worth considering these things, looking to the long term as well, not just the next 3-5 game weeks. Haven't seen the United game. Why didn't Greenwood get any bonus points considering he scored the winner? Varane got the assist and the clean sheet. That's why he got 3 bonus points. Wan-Bissaka probably for the tackles and passes. And Maguire, same thing, pass, completion, tackles, winning balls in the air. That's why they got the bonus points. Seamus Coleman, not for me, but he's also, he could be decent. I'm just not too keen on Everton defence, if I'm being honest. I have Sanchez, 2 brilliant defender, and they get their clean sheets. Love Nuno. Are you a Spurs fan? But yeah, Sanchez has been doing really well. Same with Dye and Tanganga. They're offering great value at the moment, Spurs. What about Torres for midfield? He's worth considering. The reason why I'm not too keen on him is because he's a rotation risk. If you're prepared for the occasional benching, then go for it, but I just don't like having these sorts of players. I support Arsenal, by the way. Oh, you must be offended that I, asked if you're a Spurs fan. Yeah, I mean, they are doing well at the moment, but I'm not trying to be a hater or anything. I just think at one point, they will kind of be, I want to say exposed, but they're not really going to get the results. I just think there's going to be a point where it's not going to go right for them. But it's the honeymoon period right now. They're getting the clean sheets. They're looking solid. They're scoring goals. Not too many, though. And that's really kind of a sign. But obviously, with the results, no Spurs fan's going to complain about the boring football. So, your wildcard team should be able to transfer in a Chelsea defender in 2 to 3 game weeks. Yeah, that's true. Brownhill seems a very good 4.5 million enabler. Yeah, but honestly, the 4.5 million options are very poor this year. But yeah, Brownhill's probably one of the better ones. No way Rashford is back then already. He just had surgery. Yeah, I mean, he was supposed to be out for 10 weeks or something, and this was said around 4 to 6 weeks ago, but let's wait and see. I don't have Shaw. I don't think the fixtures are right to keep him. Yeah, I mean, on a wild card, I wouldn't get him in on a wild card. From game week 7 onwards, it's really poor. But Shaw, for the next few, could be really good. On the current team on your screen, why don't you downgrade Trent to 5.5 million defender? That's a good shout. Upgrade DCL to Lukaku, and you have Gray from Everton anyway. Yeah, that's true. I mean, having double Everton attack, yeah, not too keen on it. That's very good suggestions for him. That's something to consider. Saving a transfer early, says Troller Guy. That's a good thing to do, to be honest. I think Rudiger played all the time once Tuchel took over. Also Alonso. His place to lose until Chilwell gets back in. Not sure if something happened to Chilwell at the Euros. Yeah, because Chilwell didn't play anything in the Euros, so it's not like he's having to recover from a lot of game time. Yeah, it's very odd what happened to Chilwell, really. And yeah, the thing is with Rudiger, though, he did get occasionally benched, mainly in... in the Premier League, I think he got benched 2 or 3 times since Tuchel came over. So he was quite nailed, but not completely. Really love your videos. You answer each question with high enthusiasm. Really appreciate it. I try my best. It's very difficult too sometimes, but yeah, really appreciate your comment, mate. Should I transfer out Ings for Bamford and Tsimikas for Cody minus 4 points? I probably wouldn't. If you can, just do Ings to Bamford, although I'd prefer DCL if you don't have him already. As for Tsimikas to Cody, you could just wait another week, although Wolves have a good chance of a clean sheet potentially. Is Ronaldo worth keeping from Game Week 7 because that's when I plan to wildcard? From Game Week 7, honestly, I'd probably go for Lukaku because Ronaldo can still do really well in Game Week 7, go from Ronaldo to Lukaku, then just keep him Ronaldo. But of course, this is what I'm saying right now in Game Week 3, ahead of Game Week 4. A long, long way to go. There could be injuries. There could be more news to come. Chelsea could have a dip in form. There's so many things that can happen. So let's wait and see. But that's my thoughts right now on that situation. When will FPL update rank? I think in an hour or two. At least, the kind of points should be updated. But yeah, there's not kind of a clear answer. Basically, by midnight or 1 a.m. UK time, it should be completely done. That's what it tends to be anyway last season. Shaw in or out on a wild card? On a wild card, I'd rather have Reguilon, a Chelsea defender, even Trent. So I'd probably say out, but Shaw has been decent, you know. Of course, he blanked in game week 1, but in game week 2, he got 2 bonus points, got a clean sheet this time round. I still think he's a good option. Of course, the thing with Shaw, in FPL, he tends to underperform his stats. That's something that just tends to happen. Of course, that might change from now all the way until the end of the season, but at this current moment in time, that's what has happened. Robertson for Trent to free up funds. He's fit now. Need to get extra 0.5 million to upgrade 4 million defender to 4.5. Yeah, this is the thing. That's why some people go for Robertson. He's also a differential, but I think Trent is a level above, and Tsimikas will be sharing minutes with Robertson. But of course, that doesn't mean Robertson's a bad option. That's still a good choice. And I completely understand that if you can upgrade someone else, it's worth it. But I still prefer Trent. Do I hold KDB? I'd probably just get rid of him, to be honest. It's too much money to just be sitting on the bench. And even then, when he's fit, he's going to be eased back in potentially. And he's not going to play every single game, especially when the Champions League is back. I'm off. Have a good one, Dylan. Until the next stream. Thank you to Flying Dutchman for joining in once again. And good night, mate. You can't go wrong with Chelsea's defence apart from the penalty. No one has scored, if I'm right. Exactly, you know. And even when they had 10 men, you know, Liverpool had chances. They probably should have scored, but a lot of them were long-distance efforts. And in the second half, I think Chelsea actually did very well. So, yeah, Chelsea's defence looks exceptional. Don't hold KDB. Yeah, I agree. What are your thoughts on Ferran Torres? I think he's a good option at 7 million, probably one of the best ones. And in my opinion, when he starts, he is the best. But that's the problem, his starting berth. He's going to be in and out of the team. That's why I'm not too keen on him. But if you are prepared for benchings, then go for him. And especially if you have the cover and the depth across your midfield and attack, then yeah, go for him. But for me, I'm not going for him. Yeah, but losing Bruno and doubling up on Ronaldo and Lukaku up top is what I look to do, unless you can recommend doing something better. There's no, clear-cut answer. There's no clear formula. I think 1 premium forward's fine, but if you want to have 2, fair enough. But I wouldn't have that at the expense of Salah in midfield. But, that could be something else worth looking at. Should I get Jimenez or risk with DCL since he is not fully fit? He's just an injury dow. He's got a muscle injury. I just wait until, game week 4 deadline comes. I wouldn't make a transfer yet. Just don't worry about the price rises. I know it's very tempting to kind of chase them, and I've done it in myself in the past. I'm not claiming to kind of be, immune to these things, but I'd wait, and I'd rather have Dominic Calvert-Lewin if he's fit, and I think he will be, but that's just kind of my feeling about it. Let's wait and see what happens. Jimenez could also be a very good option too. Tuchel knows what he's doing. Yep, he definitely does. DCL, then switch to Jimenez later if you wish to. I agree, to be honest, but then again, I wouldn't get DCL in right now. Let's wait until we have more news on his injury. Fair enough. Thanks, mate. No problem, mate. And it's a good suggestion, and maybe you going for 2 premium forwards is the difference, in terms of breaking away from the template and having more captaincy options and just differentiating yourself from the crowd. So, there's no right or wrong answer. I'm brand new to FPL and feel kind of lost. Do you have any tips? Okay, so we'll end it on this. I'll try to give you all the FPL tips that I can. Obviously, I'm no expert, I'm no genius. And I encourage anyone in the live chat to also help Jackson out. So in terms of FPL tips, I'm not exactly sure what you do know or don't know, but basically, price rises tend to happen and they are influenced by the kind of transfer activity. So, for example, let's say Dominic Calvert-Lewin, he's in fantastic form. A lot of managers are bringing him in. Because of that, his price is going to go up. But obviously, you see here, he's kind of like flagged. He's a doubt for the next game. So that's not as likely to happen. Price falls can also happen along with price rises. So some people always try to chase team value, and that enables you to build an even better squad because you have more money at your disposal. You always have to have 5 defenders, 5 midfielders, and 3 attackers. In terms of valid formations, you have to have at least 3 defenders playing. You can have also 4 or 5, but you can't play 2 only. You have to have a valid formation. Also, in terms of your midfield, you have to have at least, I think, 3 midfielders, but you can also play 4 or 5. And in terms of strikers, you need at least 1 playing or starting. In terms of your substitutes, they are automatic. You can't manually change them like you can in Euro 2020 fantasy football or UCL fantasy. So, for example, let's say Ben White, he's a doubt. He should play, but let's just assume he's a doubt. Let's say he doesn't play against Norwich, he's going to be substituted automatically by the end of the week. But it's not Brownhill coming on, who's my first sub, because I need to have 3 defenders at least starting. So it'd be Tsimikas if he plays, or Ayling coming in for Ben White. So hopefully that kind of clears up that part of it for you in terms of the substitutes. But otherwise, it'd be Brownhill coming on as first sub. The order of your bench is very important, so always try to switch them around, whether when you're on the pick team, on the website or the app. In terms of captaincy and vice captaincy, it's very important. Obviously, your points double when you captain someone. So try to also think about your vice captain, because if your captain doesn't play, not only will he be substituted out, but also your vice captain then ends up becoming your actual captain. So if Bruno doesn't play against Newcastle, which is very unlikely, but if it happens, he'll be substituted out. Salah will then become my captain because he's my vice. So that's kind of some things there. In terms of other things to consider, try to go for players. So for example, in defence, try to target the best defences, those that keep clean sheets often. Even some attacking players like Luke Shaw or Trent, although I'd probably recommend Trent a bit more. And of course, you have a 100 million budget in general, of course, until you increase your team value. So yeah, in terms of your midfield, try to target players who gets goals and assists. Same with the forwards. So you're always trying to look for the best value options, and sometimes just kind of going for the simple, safe options is the best thing to do. Sometimes taking a risk, especially 1 or 2 punts, can be fun and rewarding, but try to strike a balance between all of them. Of course, it's impossible for me to kind of break down the entire FPL game in just a matter of minutes, but I've tried my best, and if there's anything you're unclear of, let me know and I'll try to answer it before wrapping up the stream. But yeah, it's good also to kind of, talk and bounce ideas off, especially with people who are newer to the game, because sometimes you just open the game and you don't know what's happening. So hopefully things are clearer now. Let me try load up the chat once again. Let's see. Marcel for Target and Bamford for Ings on a -4 next week. Not for me, Kumar, but Marcel's a good choice. I think Target, yeah, just not really too keen on him. And Bamford for Ings looks good as well. I think I asked before, but with the new players in, who are the best 3 premiums, then best 2? I think you asked this in the deadline stream a few days ago, if I'm not mistaken. You didn't ask it today. Top 3 premiums, very hard for me to say with Ronaldo not even being added to the game yet, but I'd probably say he's in the top 3. Salah is definitely my top 3. He's probably second or first. Bruno Fernandes would have been top 2 or 3, but now he might be creeping out of that top 3 ranking. I still think Kane is up there, same with Lukaku. If I had to put 3, I'd say Salah, Ronaldo, and I'd say Harry Kane. It's pretty much what I said a few days ago. I'm not going to change my mind because of him blanking, but there's a lot of options. Son's also a very good one, especially at his price. Not Ings, hard fixtures, yeah, I agree. Do you think Antonio is essential with how big his effective ownership is? Not completely essential, but the way I see it, at his price, who's better, really? There's others who are similar, like Greenwood, like Jota, but I think Antonio is just the pick of the bunch. DCL for a bit more is also really good, but I just go for Antonio. Oh, Bamford in, yeah, that's good. Maybe Rafinha will be a good option. He is. I would keep an eye on that situation with Brazil, Rafinha going on international duty. I need a third good striker, says Kumar. I'm not sure how much budget you have, but I'd probably say DCL. DCL, Antonio, if you don't have them already, one of them, definitely. Yeah, Antonio, DCL and Lukaku. Looks really good, Troller Guy, especially from Game Week 7 onwards. Lukaku or Ronaldo for Game Week 4. Obviously, he hasn't been added to the game yet, but I'd say Ronaldo and then Kai Havertz. I'm guessing you're a Chelsea fan. In Game Week 7, you can move Ronaldo on to Lukaku, so, that makes perfect sense. If you look at the fixture swings for United and Chelsea, it literally just goes hand in hand in Game Week 7, so perfect opportunity. Lukaku, because you'll have more chance of starting and probably will. Maybe that's a good point as well. Although if you kind of get an inkling of Ronaldo starting in Game Week 4, I just go for him personally. Ronaldo for Game Week 4 because Newcastle cannot defend. Yeah, maybe. But you see, these things aren't really clear cut, and Chelsea can still put 2 or 3 past Villa. Try get both, I think. If possible, then yeah, that'd be really good. Fernandes didn't look good today. Fear his creativity and output could be reduced with CR7. Surely Captain Salah. Yeah, honestly, I'd probably change the captain based on what's happened today. I'll be honest though, I was setting up the stream just before coming live, so I didn't see parts of the United game. I will be looking at it and analysing it further. That's why when we look at my wildcard team, for example, things can change and this definitely can be improved. It's just kind of some ideas for you lot. But yeah, you're completely right. I think he could be severely affected. I'm going to wildcard for Ronaldo. Fair enough. I wouldn't wildcard just for one player. in my opinion, but do what you want. White will be back for Game Week 4. He should be. It's not completely confirmed, but he should be back. I think he was in contact with someone with COVID or something like that. He should be fine. Kane or Lukaku? I'd probably still say Kane because of the fixture, but then again, you could just go for Son instead to cover Spurs. I'll subscribe to your channel and impress the details of you talk out the questions and the details in answering too, mate. Good work. Thank you, Wingel. Really appreciate it, mate. And just really appreciate everyone who's been here throughout. So many people watching and, of course, engaging in great discussion about FPL and football. So the hit should be worth the transfers, right? Yeah, it could be worth it. It's just I'm kind of the type of manager nowadays that I try to avoid hits because I was literally in a rabbit hole last year and the year before where I kept taking hits unnecessarily. So I'm trying to avoid them as much as possible. But the hit can be worth it, no doubt about it. I've owned Antonio DCL and Ings since game 1. Yeah, good choices. And obviously now you can move Ings on to maybe a premium strike if you can afford it. I'm just thinking of having Lukaku on my draft and have it all the way until Ronaldo makes me pick him. Fair enough. In terms of a fixture perspective, I would rather have Ronaldo now and then get in Lukaku, but that would also contradict what I've said before, where I want to see something from Ronaldo at United. I want to see his performance, even if he blanks, just some underlying stats that I test him doing really well before committing to him. But there's no right or wrong answer. They're both fantastic choices who can do well. Should I keep Smith Rowe just in case Arsenal find their form and win games against Burnley, etc.? Maybe keep him against Norwich, but going forward, Damari Gray, Sarr, Rafinha and Benrahma are better options. Son or Salah for Game Week 4? I have 1. Should I -4 for Salah instead of Son or no? I wouldn't take out Son on a -4. I definitely wouldn't. I think Son could do really well this week too. But if you don't have Son and you're looking to get Son or Salah, I still prefer Salah. I think he's the best or one of the best options in the game. Yeah, and it ultimately depends who you're getting rid of. But if it's Son out for Salah on a -4, not for me. I felt like 300k places because I didn't have Antonio Game Week 2, had him Game Week 1. I transferred him out for Richarlison, but we move. At least I'm top 600k. Yeah, it's early days, but yeah, with Antonio, I mean, yeah, getting rid of him, you're very bold there, mate. I mean, I definitely wouldn't have done that. But then again, sometimes these things can go for us or against us. There's no right or wrong sometimes. But yeah, definitely try to stick to Antonio if you can. Yeah, I meant Son, not 1. Oh yeah, I have Son. Yeah, I wouldn't take him out, mate. I wouldn't, especially for a hit. Just not for me. But that's just my opinion, of course. It's not a complete right or wrong answer. But yeah, that's just the way I see it. Thank you everyone who has joined in. Really appreciate it. If you haven't already, remember to smash the like button, subscribe if you're new, and all that good stuff. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram. It's Dylan_RCM. And you can contact me there. You can send in your team. And if there is a future live stream or video where I rate your teams in detail, it can feature. Just remember to send a clean cropped image, just so it saves time and also is just kind of consistent with the rest of the teams that are being sent in. But thank you everyone who tuned in today. I'll be now working on UCL fantasy content. If you are interested in playing it, I'll be uploading videos on this channel. I uploaded last year. I did deadline streams, the only channel to do them. So I'm going to continue doing that. And yeah, really appreciate it. There'll be more deadline streams to come. Same with reaction streams when Premier League is back on. For now, we have a bit of a break. But yeah, like I said already, UCL fantasy content is coming within the next few days. And then FPL, I'll be doing a best Game Week 4 wildcard team. It'll be much better than what you saw just now. And I'll also be doing a team selection video and other sorts of videos like Game Week previews where I break down every single game and I also show the best team you can make for this week. But it's going to be different to the wildcard team because a wildcard, you want to look at the medium to long term, not just this week. So the Game Week 4 team that will feature in the Game Week 4 preview, that's pretty much like a free hit, if anything. But yeah, really appreciate all the support and all the questions coming in. And yeah, just blessed to have all of you here. And I'll see you next time.